Bookkeepers, supply chain specialists, and administrative professionals, start a new career today. Our process is easy. Go to expressmohawkvalley.com to complete our online application and apply now. Our recruiters will call you to set up a meeting. You can also call our office at 315-790-5723. Express Employment Professionals. We make it our business to put you to work.
Warner Sales and Service. Building relationships, building trust.
This is Lynn from Warner Sales and Service. Mow like a pro with Hustler Turf zero-turn mowers. Hustler mowers are designed to be maintenance and service-friendly for the everyday homeowner while not sacrificing the build and cut quality they're known for. From the heavy-duty frame to the welded steel deck to their trademark smooth track steering, Hustler Turf zero-turn mowers deliver professional-grade cut quality for a perfectly manicured lawn. It's your chance to be the envy of your neighborhood. Come see us at Warner Sales and Service on the Greenway New London Road in Rome, just off Route 365 between Rome and Verona. And we'll guide you to the right mower for your property and your budget. Find us at warnerss.com.
Warner's, where quality still counts. At Warner's.
Power Sports of Utica is holding its grand opening event on the 28th and 29th of April. We have over 350 vehicles in stock and incoming for you to see. Come celebrate with us at the store over great food, drink, and entertainment. We can't wait to see you there.
It's our Power Sports of Utica grand opening, April 28th and 29th, with over 150 new and used Harley-Davidsons in our pool. 0% down, 3.99 APR on select Harleys. Grand opening discounts on boots, helmets, shirts, and apparel.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Honey, why are you peeking out the window and spying on the neighbors?
I can't stop watching what they're doing to their house. Look at that. They added a sunroom and put in a pool. Do you think they won the lottery?
No, not the lottery. Julie and Jeff got a home equity loan from Adirondack Bank. They're using the equity from their home to renovate.
Really?
Yes, Adirondack Bank has home equity rates as low as 3.99% annual percentage rate. You can access the equity in your home to fund almost anything.
Huh. Maybe we should call Adirondack Bank. What about a new kitchen? Wouldn't that be awesome? Well, then, of course, we would need new furniture, and we could repair the roof. Oh, and even take that trip to Italy that we've always talked about. And, of course, I need a new car.
Slow down, honey. Let's go talk to the experts at Adirondack Bank.
Stop into your local Adirondack Bank for more information on home equity loan rates as low as 3.99% APR. Or call 877-404-2265 for credit costs and terms. Apply today at AdirondackBank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Adam and Grace finally made it to retirement. They decided this was their time. They drove in from Herkimer to Mattress Express in New Hartford on Commercial Drive in the Hannaford Plaza next to Red Lobster. They wanted to see the number bed they'd heard so much about. Adam had a bad back. He liked his side firm. We elevated his head, his feet, put the massage on medium. He said he hadn't felt that comfort in years. Grace liked her side softer. She was a 24. She had her head elevated slightly less, her feet a little higher, and the massage on high. They were thrilled to find out it had a 25-year industry-leading warranty. They qualified and signed up for the 5 years, no interest, no money down, so they didn't have to wait for their tax return. For their luxury reward, they chose a 65-inch flat-screen TV. They laid on the Purple and the Puffy, the big online brands while they were there, but the number bed was for them. Call 1-800-NEW-BEDS or go to mattressexpressny.com or visit any store.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
What if you could do business without busy work? With Ramp, you can. Ramp is the future of finance with smart automation, corporate cards, and spend management. Just imagine, no more expense reports or shuffling wrinkled receipts. No more slogging through invoices or getting surprised by unexpected charges. Just your business's big idea with smart spend controls, automation that crushes busy work, and real-time insights so you can make it happen. In other words, Ramp completely reimagined finance to make it work for your business. Get set up, issue corporate cards, and start making payments in less than 15 minutes. See how Ramp does finance. Join today and get $250 just for signing up. Just go to ramp.com/finance. That's ramp.com/finance to get $250 for signing up. That's ramp.com/finance.
It's time to start the program. It's time to earn our pay. It's time to meet the people on the Keeler Show today. It's time to read the news and weather. Time to figure out what to say. It's time to turn the channel of the Keeler Show today. Why do we always listen? Keeler's always in the know. It makes me want to call him and tell him where to go. And now let's get things started. Andrew, let's get things started. It's time to get things started. On the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Keelerational. This is what we call the Keeler Show.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Okay, man. Did you see they've once again changed the forecast?
No, to what now?
80 today, 80 tomorrow, 80 on Saturday, and 74, 75 on Sunday.
Hey, now. So, and are we still falling back into the 40s next week?
50s. Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be chilly next week. But for today, I'm all in. I mean, this is just yesterday. I was out in the sun all day yesterday.
Yeah, you did get some sun.
At Herkimer Diamonds, and I can feel it on the scalp. Usually takes a couple of burnings before you can handle it through the. Davey, you have to go, right? And grab me a. Hold on, I have money. Grab me a Diet Pepsi. Hi, Davey. Good morning.
Did I give that to you?
Good morning.
Listen, come in here, and I'll give you this. But I want. So I did damage to my vehicle. Ricky Z, Steve Potty Mazda. This is not something done just for me because I'm on the radio. This is something to do for all of their customers. So remember the day that it was flooding? I drove through, and I drove through flooded. Well, I must have hit something because it ripped the whole underneath of the vehicle of my CX-9. And so it got worse and worse. And then I'm going to the car wash. I'm like, well, let me see if I can do the underwash and get this rug out from I got a rug stuck underneath I thought I had a rug stuck in the drivetrain. Turns out it had I must have hit something. Or somebody who doesn't know where a catalytic converter is was trying to steal mine. I don't know, but the whole thing has been ripped underneath. So they got to replace the panels. And the panels are like, $400 or $500 to replace them.
When did you notice this?
I noticed it in the last 4 or 5 days.
Wow. Because, I mean, it is possible that when we got all that rain last week that maybe you ran over a puddle that had something in it.
That had something in it.
But
and that's
the catalytic converter theory, I think, is a really close second.
That's another option. And I don't know what it was, but they have to pull them off, and they have to replace them, so they're on order. And they got it so that I can drive the vehicle, and I'll pick it up today. But as of yesterday, I had a lot of work yesterday. I worked all day yesterday into last night out in Middleville at Herkimer Diamonds for their live broadcast. It's unbelievable. I'll play a little audio. I mean, they're selling Herkimer Diamonds jewelry all over the world through Home Shopping Network. And it was last night was a 2-hour special. And anyway, I'll get to that coming up. I can tell I got a lot in my head here.
Yeah.
But trying out this, so this is the CX-5 is what they gave me yesterday, which is a little smaller than my vehicle, the CX-9, but it's newer. This CX-5 is newer than mine. And maybe I'm just overly excited. And tell everybody who you are, because I always forget your name.
Devin.
Devin. I'm going to remember that. It's one of those names that wasn't around when I was in high school. So it's taken me a little, like Jeff Davey, both of those names were around. Devin was not a big one when I was in school.
It's a newer one.
You're one of those, your parents you probably live in Clinton, right?
Yes.
There we go. It completely makes sense.
That's funny.
All right. Maybe you know
Devin
about
is
this.
Devin is a fine name, by the way.
I do think it's a fine name. Trust me. You
It's
don't
just a
wanna
new name.
Yeah.
Grow up with Bill or William or Eugene, which is what I'm stuck with. Okay, Davey, take this. So I want you to take this down, this loaner, down to the convenience store to get him a coffee and grab me a Diet Pepsi. And I'll buy his coffee because I think I owe him. And whatever you want and whatever Devin wants. Apparently,
There
I
you
didn't
go.
give you enough
That's
money.
the one promised correction right there. That's the one time you promised us to get it right.
All right. Well, it's
thank
fresh
you.
in my head. Okay. So what you're going to see, and I want you to, and I didn't notice this. Yeah, you get in. Well, maybe I shouldn't let you drive.
I was going to say, you want me to go?
And then, you push the button to start it and put your seatbelt on. But as you're driving out, I've already adjusted the seat for you. You should be good. As you're driving out, maybe this is something that everybody else, I'm overly excited over something that everybody's like, well, I've had that for 10 years. Where have you been? But it has, and I didn't notice this until like 6 hours after I'd been driving the vehicle. But just above the dash as you're looking out, it's almost like a reflective or holographic type speedometer that's in the windshield.
So you don't have to look down?
You do not have to look down at the dash.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's in the windshield, and as your perspective of it, it's, all right, go ahead, Davey. And Davey, oh, my God, I hope he remembers he's got to call us. Because otherwise we won't experience his joy.
Hold on.
So grab his number. Okay, Devin, are you aware of this? Is that tilt your microphone up towards your face there?
I've heard of it. It's not something my car has. I have a
Yeah.
very base model, but
It's not something my car has.
Something I've seen on the internet. Not on a lot of cars.
I've seen it on the internet too. I've never driven, and the fact that I didn't see it is telling because it's not something that I'd driven quite a distance and I didn't see it. So that's telling you that it's something that isn't overly noticeable where it might distract you.
Yeah, I think that's something cool. It's like, I mean, you weren't able to notice it, so you're able to look past it and not even realize
it was there. But once I realized it, I became fixated on it, and I'm
kept looking at the speed,
a bit compulsive. So yes, I'm forget the road. I'm just looking at the speed that I'm going. But it also, Davey, okay, you know what to do. Call me. But it also has the blind side protection warning.
Yeah.
So that's also there.
That's cool.
So when there's a car in the right lane and they hit your blind side, the thing starts blinking up there. But you have to see it. I mean, I got home late last night. I literally, my wife was all ready to go to bed. She's in a bathrobe. I'm like, no, you have to come out and drive this car for a second. This thing is so cool.
That is funny.
Now, I realize I'm probably excited over something everybody else is like, I saw it on the internet. It's no big deal. But it shows you what we're doing today and what we will be able to do down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. As I wait for Davey to call in, and I'm confident that he will, does he know what we're looking for? He really doesn't even know.
I didn't say specifically. I said there might be a couple of features that are available
Yeah.
that you'll notice behind the wheel, and Bill wants your reaction to them.
So I do this work for Renee Shavat at Herkimer Diamonds, and their resort is opening today, as a matter of fact. And, boy, I mean, I can't remember opening in April and having 70-degree weather.
Yeah.
I can't remember doing it without snow all over the place, let alone 80-degree weather that we're expecting today. And I'll be back out there today for a live broadcast. So from the mines, we broadcast. What happened? Oh, I left my phone. Yeah, thank you. From the mines.
You left your phone in
Crazy.
the car?
From the mines, broadcast around the world on Home Shopping Network, and watching the little count go like 900, 920, 950, 900. These are the number of items that sell. And people are all about Herkimer Diamonds.
Yeah, they love them.
And
It's
the
unique to
jewelry
the
that is-
area, right?
It is the only place you can find this type of quartz. It is the hardest of all the quartz that you can find out there. And what makes it, which is a couple of the things that makes it so special, and it's in the Smithsonian. You'll find it. You really will find Herkimer diamonds all over the world. Go to YouTube or go to eBay, and you'll find their jewelry and the actual quartz, the Herkimer diamonds, all over. But here's a little piece from the broadcast from last night. This is live on the Home Shopping Network.
You know, the 4 C's of diamonds: cut, color, clarity, carat weight. Well, this is nailing all of it. Cut, color, clarity, carat weight. You get it all in this gorgeous, gorgeous piece. And they marked these down. That big one was $134. That's our deal price, $99.96. And then the smaller one was $99. They marked that down to $69. So this is absolutely gorgeous. Renee, do you get a billion? You're probably like me. Every
So
time
this is Renee. This is the broadcast, the connection that we made.
Well, every time I wear it, I think I do sell it off my neck or gift it to someone off my neck. But, you know, you mentioned that this should be in a museum, Colleen. You remember the story about this stone.
I do.
You know, the Smithsonian has a beautiful collection of Herkimer diamonds, and they have a very large pocket. It's about 5.5 to 6 feet by 4 feet. It's right behind the Hope Diamond. And
Pretty cool, right? It's in the Smithsonian.
Yeah,
and
no,
it's
that's
right in our backyard. Is that you, Davey?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are you driving yet?
Yeah, I'm on River Road.
Okay, nice. Do you see just above the dash the little the speedometer that's in the windshield?
Yes, I do. It's pretty cool.
Isn't it? It's almost like a holograph, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It actually tells you, Jeff, how fast you're going on the highway.
Which is what a speedometer does. It's
Yeah,
unique.
it's actually awesome.
All right, Davey, you know what to do. Thank you, man. And don't wreck it. You're not supposed to be driving it.
I won't.
Okay.
See you later. Bye.
I will also, as long as I'm plugging away with excitement, Steve Pawnee Mazda and Ricky Z, when you get your vehicle repaired or serviced, if you need to get to work, they give you a brand new vehicle.
Really?
I mean, this has very few miles on it. Well, until yesterday, and oh boy, but it's one of the perks of purchasing from Steve Pawnee Mazda. So I just found it to be. Mark is telling me right now, been around since the '80s. This is nothing new. The Mazda must be pretty cool. That feature has come a long way since the '89 Beretta GTU had it a long time ago.
Wow. And think about that. That was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. That was 35 years ago.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. Pretty wild. And Mike this morning says the Herkimer Diamonds are also in the Boston Museum of Science. I was speaking to my son last night, who's in Denver. The Colorado Museum of Natural History and Science features the Herkimer Diamond as well. But I find that it's things like this, like the Boxing Hall of Fame, like the brewery, Munson, which is called now, right?
Yeah.
The Baseball Hall of Fame, the Farmers Museum up there. All of these things that we have in our own backyard that we just take for granted, and other people travel miles and miles to take advantage of, and we just consider it, oh, yeah, it's, I've never been there. I live 5 miles from there, but I've never been there.
It's interesting. It's a great point you make. The other thing with the diamonds is I know they're very unique and cool, and they're extremely popular. Obviously, they're selling in those numbers on, is it HSN?
Home Shopping Network, yeah.
But, there's something that's said about the diamonds that I don't know is true, that I think might be a little bit of fiction.
Okay.
Have they been designed by nature to be a filter of alcohol? Is that how they work? Because that's Dan Aykroyd's thing, right? He's so amazed by these diamonds,
and he uses he uses the Herkimer diamonds
to filter his Crystal Skull vodka.
That vodka, that's absolutely true, and there is a spiritual component to this.
Okay.
Now, whether you believe in it or not, you have to understand that when you put one of those Herkimer diamonds, or you put one of those in your hand, it is something interesting to think about. That it is 500 million years old, and it is completely made by nature. And when they pull it out of the rock, or maybe you do as you're mining over there, you just wash it off, and there you have it. You don't really have to do anything to it other than that.
Yeah.
But 500 million years old, and every once in a while you'll get one that has a little water trapped inside. Now imagine that.
Yeah.
water from 500 million years ago inside the Herkimer Diamond. It's pretty cool.
Another unique feature here for the Mohawk
So,
Valley.
and I know every time that I do this, I do these broadcasts usually 4 times a year, and it's an honor to be able to do it because it's a big deal, and it's very stressful because if something goes wrong, it's a national broadcast. But like last night, Renee was on for 2 hours last night. During the day, we were out in the mines, and we'll do that again later on this afternoon from the mines, broadcasting on HSN. It's pretty darn cool.
So can I just ask you, because obviously 2 hours is a lot of time to talk about a great product. I just wanted to follow up, and again,
they had like 30 different pieces of jewelry in the 2 hours.
Yeah. So and there's some buy it for the spiritual component, as you mentioned.
Yep.
Others make jewelry out of it, or they like to collect, the large size rocks. Does she ever mention that it's used with the crystal skull?
Yeah.
Oh, that is something she touts on.
It was a part of. They talked about it. Not mentioning the specific brand,
but
mentioning that vodka.
Yeah, that's interesting.
To,
I've heard him, and you could probably just search it on YouTube. But
he's
Dan Aykroyd, Crystal Skull. I mean, he's got like a 30-minute dissertation on why he believes it's the best filter.
He's all about the spirituality of it all.
Yeah,
and believes in all of that stuff. Anyway, so there you have it. And my 2 little things that were really big for me. You have learned, Devin, that I'm easily amused. Yeah. And easily
distracted,
and probably should be on meds.
It's all right to get off topic.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
So what time today on HSN?
We'll be on between 4 and 5.
And that's a live. That's live. Yeah, that's cool.
Right from and there'll be people in the mines as it's all going on. But and what I love about this is how much Renee talks about the Utica, Rome, Mohawk Valley area and how much that we have to offer. And, we, again, take it so much for granted. But there are people out there that do a great job of promoting it. And she is one, not only promoting her business, but promoting the entire region, which I think is pretty cool.
And Frank Policelli, when he was in last week, made that comment as well. It's whatever we were talking about. He said it's one of the unique things in the area that we have so many of.
Yeah.
He wasn't talking about the diamonds, but that this area has a lot of things that are unique and kind of serve as a model for other parts of the country. And
I want to go through some stuff that is in the news. Brenda Axe has written a column on Adam Weitzman, and this is the recycling guy that was bringing in all of the celebrities and paying money and potentially paying money to get players to consider Syracuse, and now he's walked away. But Brenda Axe's column this morning, or this I guess is from yesterday, just the headline alone. You remember he was fired from his radio job because they said he was too negative on Syracuse. Well, he also writes.
Can we talk about that? We never got into this, did we?
We haven't, and we will. But he also writes for the Syracuse Post-Standard, Syracuse.com. And the headline yesterday, Adam Weitzman said all along he just wanted to help Syracuse. Who can blame him for leaving? So he's quite critical there. And, yeah, you want to – I know you were bothered by that.
Well, there was – I'm going to try to pull it up here.
Sports Illustrated did a really good column on it.
Somebody sent me the article where, if I'm not mistaken, somebody affiliated with making the decision basically said it was time for him to go because he was critical of Syracuse in the program. ESPN Syracuse fires host Brent Axe for overly dark coverage of the team. And if I can pull it up here, I want to read you the quote because...
All right, hold on a second.
I mean, talk about being a homer.
We'll talk more about that coming up, and
Brent is not a homer.
How do you do a radio show every day and not speak negatively? You can't be the Chamber of Commerce and have anybody really listen to you. Nothing against the Chamber. Love the Chamber. Quickly, and then I have Tanya.
Yeah. So, you want to attribute the quote?
I can't talk about it, but you can say whatever you want.
All right. Well, Ed Levine, the president and CEO of Galaxy Media Partners, which owns ESPN radio affiliate in the region, confirmed the news to Syracuse.com when Axe was basically cut loose. Quote, I had a problem with the content of the show. I'm an SU fan. I'm sorry, but I bleed orange. I'm not going to apologize for that, and I think a fair reading of the orange is appropriate. Well, I mean, they haven't even made the NIT, though, did it?
It's going to be awful now, and we'll talk more about some of the comments where that this guy has made and why he left and what he was doing. I also do think that for the chancellor of the university, I can understand how it may make you a little nervous with a rogue rich guy out there, basically paying to maneuver through the program and basically design what the program might look like. So I can understand the concern that the university might have.
Sure.
Also,
yeah.
But man, they couldn't work it out. You lose this guy, you lose all of this money that was being pumped into the program to allow it to compete with all the other programs around the country that are going to be pumping money into theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope we have an answer. To be honest, we'll talk more about that coming up. In New York, Manhattan, the Manhattan DA suing Jim Jordan over the Trump indictment inquiry. Tanya J. Powers on the line right now with the latest on this one. Tanya, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
I was hoping it was you because I actually we're shorthanded today. So, all right, what do we know about this? And you know, Jordan has certainly been someone who has had President Trump's back, and I think in this case, the DA has felt that he may be stepping in the way of his proceeding and his investigation. So this is a pretty bold move here.
It is. I mean, really kind of on both parts. The Manhattan District Attorney is, as you said, suing the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee over what he calls a transparent campaign to intimidate and attack his office's case against the former president. That's what he called it. That's what Bragg called it.
Yeah.
This whole thing is just kind of amped up the legal drama, like we didn't have enough already surrounding this whole thing. Because remember, it was just a couple of weeks ago the grand jury voted to indict the former president. Last week was the arraignment on 34 felony charges, the criminal charges. Now, after getting this subpoena for testimony, Alvin Bragg's office. What the House Judiciary Committee wants to do is hear from a former senior prosecutor in the DA's office, as well as have other confidential documents and testimony, even from the DA himself. They want to talk to current and former employees, that kind of stuff. This 50-page lawsuit against the House Committee is asking a federal court to give emergency and permanent relief that would basically block the subpoena of this senior prosecutor that they want to testify on the 20th.
Okay.
There is a hearing. The judge denied the request for emergency relief, but the court could actually still block the subpoena in a different way. There is a hearing on the 19th, which is the day before the House Committee wanted the testimony. So
okay. All right.
That's sort of how things are at this point.
Manaski.
Well, I was going to make a comment again about Tanya. How did you describe the claim against Jordan? Like an aggravated harassment, not a harassment charge, but that was what popped into my mind when you were describing it. I was just going to point out harassment. Go ahead.
The suit, and this is a quote from the suit. This is not me characterizing it. A transparent campaign to intimidate and attack.
Intimidate and
the
attack.
office of the Manhattan DA.
A campaign to intimidate and attack, and what some people might consider that to be is a form of harassment, which Alvin Bragg says we won't prosecute in this office.
Right.
I know this is a lawsuit; it's not a prosecution. I just wanted to point that out.
Well, and the other part of this that does become somewhat problematic for Republicans and for Jim Jordan, Tanya, is the fact that these requests by congressional committee for testimony during the January 6th committee, Republican members, including Jordan, refused to testify. So now you have a precedent of, well, you were okay with it being done back then, but now you're not okay with it. The waters in politics on both sides of the aisle have been muddied.
That's a really good point, because that was basically the response for all subpoenas during the Trump administration. Whenever there was a subpoena from, anybody who wanted testimony from, any of the appointees or really anybody in the Trump administration, was just, no, we're not going to show up.
So, I realize both sides can cry foul, but that's the problem we're in right now is both.
No, it's a fair point. Like, if you say arresting a president sets a precedent, well, when you get subpoenaed for a House hearing and you don't show up, that's a precedent also.
And the other part of that is...
Which has already been said, and that's already been a thing that's happened numerous times at this point.
The other part of this is when a precedent has been set about arresting a president, beware that might happen to the president in your party down the road.
Yeah.
So we're opening up a lot of. There are a lot of worms out there, a lot of empty cans.
That's a good point. It's a good point.
All right, Tanya, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Sure.
Tanya J. Powers from
Thank you.
Fox News. Thank you. All right. What else did I want to get into here this morning? There's a bunch of stuff. Let's squeeze in. In Utica yesterday, boy, it does seem like some sort of a revenge attack in this murder that occurred yesterday, and police have one person in custody.
Yes, we'll talk with Mike Curley from the Utica Police, the public information officer. We'll talk with him later this morning and maybe get some more information. But, yeah, reported at about 8:15 yesterday. Police responded. They found the shooting victim unresponsive. 49-year-old James Jackson of Utica, identified as the gunshot victim. He was pronounced dead shortly thereafter. A description of the person who pulled the trigger was quickly developed as an investigator in the major crime unit was actually headed back to the UPD headquarters across from Nexus there. I believe he saw a man walking, matching that description, called for other officers. They tried to stop this man. He eventually took off on foot. Short chase. They arrested him. Found to be in possession of a loaded handgun. Police waited to release his name and information and any charges at that point because I think they wanted to do some additional investigation to, not have any loose ends, at least initially, as to if this was the person believed to be at least at the scene yesterday. But ultimately, they have charged a man who is from Philadelphia, a 47-year-old man. It is, I want to make sure I get it right here, it is Ethan Jonathan Little McNeil. And he was taken into custody. He faces charges of second-degree murder, criminal possession of a weapon, and he is currently being held.
Another news in northern New York, Lake Luzerne. People are up in arms over a drag queen story hour planned at a library up there.
For kids?
I believe it might be it's a story hour, so chances are it is. The difference with this one, though, is it's not in a school. It's at a library. And parents can or do not have to bring their children there.
Okay.
It makes it a little different. If parents want to expose their kids to this sort of thing, I guess that's kind of their choice, right? Or are we crossing into a world where that's child abuse? Yeah.
Well,
I just kind of feel like we're spending a lot of time worrying about what other people are doing.
Yeah, we are, and this drag queen situation has become the shark story, right?
It has, and we're following every one of them. And like I said, if this was being done, if I had a first grader and it was being done in our public school, I would, as a parent, most likely have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But this is a different setting. This is a library where you have the choice to take or not take your kids. Less government.
Yes. I mean, Republicans were just screaming, even a couple weeks ago, about when it came to school, parental choice, parental influence, parental decisions. You don't have to agree with their decisions, but parents are allowed to make those decisions.
I don't know if you saw the Yankees game yesterday. The umpire has been hospitalized after being hit in the head. Did you see this, Davey?
Yes, I did.
Hit in the head by a pitcher. Or was it a foul tip, or was it
a foul tip?
It was a foul tip. Hit in the head.
Ooh.
And he's been hospitalized. Umpire Larry Vanover being evaluated for a concussion and other injuries at a hospital after being struck in the head with a relay throw is what it was during Wednesday's game between the Yankees and the Cleveland Guardians.
Horrible.
Listen, was there any talk for you about, because you're now an umpire, and you've gone through umpire school, is there any talk about the importance of safety and how, this can be a bit of a dangerous game at times?
Yeah, absolutely. There is instruction on, to what, like, for instance, if you're on the infield, there's a ground ball to a shortstop or a third baseman, You watch till the ball's released, then you turn your position. You want to be aware of where the ball is, but you're not tracking it all the way across the field. But that kind of helps you be aware of where the ball is and know where to look as things are happening. Now, I want to say in a Mets game, within the last 3 or 4 years, an umpire got blasted on a throw across the infield that was just offline.
Yeah.
Like right in the side of his temple. And if I'm not mistaken, the grooves, the stitching of the baseball, you could see it on his temple there, and he
a lot
was
of times
bleeding.
it's just about where you got hit.
Where you
And
got
it
hit,
could be
right.
a very a freak accident. Yes.
It's all sports are dangerous, like contact sports. Baseball, especially, the ball's coming out. I know a couple weeks ago I was at a Utica University lacrosse game, and the other team took a shot, missed the net, hit the ref directly in the face.
Wow.
They had to stop the game, and so I think baseball and lacrosse, things like that, where you have these balls flying as fast, 100 miles an hour, it's dangerous. Why aren't the refs wearing any sort of protection? Or even you see it in football where the refs get hit as well.
That's a good question.
It is. It really is. And you're talking about, even a softball is hard. You get hit in the head with a softball, and but interesting stuff. On the other side, so you have conservatives that are up in arms over the
drag queen,
the drag stuff up
Story
up
Hour,
the North Country. In liberal New York City, the liberals are all upset over the robot dog. I got to tell you something. I'm all for this thing. Have you seen it hopping around?
Well,
it is incredibly mobile.
Oh, okay. So this thing hops?
Well, it does everything. I saw it hopping yesterday.
So my son,
I mean, it's very mobile, and this is kind of the type of thing where if there is a standoff or a crime, wouldn't you rather have this thing go in as opposed to a human or even an animal being shot and killed?
Now, I don't know that it looked anything like a dog or a puppy, but, when
It
Utica
doesn't.
police
I
were
mean, it looks like something modern, robotic.
Utica police had a standoff situation earlier this month. It was 6 or 7 hours, and they used the Herkimer Police Department's robotic vehicle to go in.
You remember the shooting that occurred there? It was, but also a dog went in, and the dog was shot and killed in that in that shootout that happened in Herkimer. But there are people that are all upset. So you have a suspect in there with a gun. Do you want to send in the cops, or do you want to send in? Well, it's not fair. It's not a fair fight. What are we talking about here? It's not a fair fight. Are you kidding me? We must be fair to all criminals. It's just not fair. If the criminal's going in to attack someone, it's unfair that the police are better outfitted, that they have better weapons. I mean, what is
it's
going
such a stupid
on?
argument.
I want the dog to jump up on one of these people, because I have a feeling this dog jumps up on you. It's like one of those big dogs. It'll knock you right over. That's what has to happen.
Yeah, that is such a ridiculous argument. So, does the same thing apply when the criminal goes in, like you say, and robs someone's home at gunpoint? Do we say, look, it's not fair. Just give the homeowner the gun, and then you can go do what you want? You fight for yourself.
Burns me up when I'm so civil libertarians and police reform. I do, in many cases, support clearly civil liberties and civil libertarians when they're on the right side of an argument. But here, this is completely ridiculous. They're saying they're questioning the need for high-tech devices. I can think of 50 off the top of my head. What about the school shootings? What about all these? You want kids protected. If you have something like this that is high-tech, that doesn't put a human life in danger, why would we not be all about it? They're saying this latest announcement is just the most recent example of how Mayor Adams allows unmitigated overspending of the NYPD's massively bloated budget. The NYPD is buying robot dogs and other fancy tech while New Yorkers can't access food stamps because city agencies are short-staffed. Well, what do we want? Public safety? Do we want public safety? You got to invest in public safety.
This is
an example of some people will argue over anything.
Yes, and it
just blows my mind.
It becomes, again, this is another political issue where people throw all common sense and proper judgment out the window, and they say, I do think this is a political type situation. You have certain people in one party who feel a certain way about this, and it's almost like by reaction, if you feel that way, then I feel this way, which is the complete opposite. We have to level the playing field for criminals so they have a better fighting chance. When they're holed up in a standoff with police in a building,
it is unbelievable.
We have to level the playing field for them.
New York City is all being dressed in Mrs. Maisel. If you watch this series, which is about a stand-up comic, I think it's loosely kind of designed to be a bit of a story of what it was like to be Joan Rivers when she was making her way up in the comedy world, in the stand-up comic world. And that's a world that I certainly spend a lot of time in and love. And this show is really a cool show. It's back on one of the networks. Does anybody know what network it's on? One of the streaming services. But it's back this week, I believe on Saturday, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. You can check that out. What else here? We're getting close. I got a break.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. Check it out. It's really good. And this story from KTV, a juvenile in Rome has been. I think we also have this story, but sorry. Juvenile in Rome accused of throwing a rock at a man's face. The assault happened while police were investigating a large fight at the 100 block of East Bloomfield Street on Monday. Officers were called just before 7 p.m. The juvenile threw the rock at a 37-year-old man while police were investigating the scene. The victim went to a local hospital and had to have medical care. Shows you
broken nose and a broken orbital socket.
It tells you that you can use anything as a weapon. Don't want to get into that debate, but you can. And then one more. Neighbors in Fairbanks, Alaska, I saw pictures of this, spotted a young moose who had fallen through some ice into the water. With the help, you think the moose, these animals, would have more of a sense that it's warming up, probably shouldn't be on the ice.
Yes.
But apparently they're as stupid as kids.
Survival of the fittest. They're not all geniuses out there.
Apparently, but with the help of community members and some police officers, the crew was able to pull it to safety. Here's Gary Neese and Eric Dillon talking about the dramatic rescue of the moose. Here we go.
I looked out the window here, and right over there, you could see this moose fighting for its life. He was clearly unable to get out of the hole and just fighting with all his effort. And then we pulled the calf barely out of the hole and let it catch its breath.
It was a feat, but it was exciting, and it was a nice outcome to an unfortunate situation.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is in the news today, and he's completely stolen our bit. If you remember, some years ago, we this time of year when you're out driving on the road and there are potholes, and oddly enough, we got into a little bit of trouble over this because apparently we didn't have the proper permits to repair the highways. But we grabbed a blacktopping company, and they went out with us, and we filled potholes. It was pretty cool. And you know what? People would call us and say, I've got one over here. It hasn't been fixed in months. Please come. And we came, and we filled them in. It was awesome. Arnold Schwarzenegger has done the same thing. Got a crew together. He had enough. He began filling a large pothole in his neighborhood in Los Angeles. The former California governor said, he didn't say it quite this way, but I'll speak so you can understand. I always say, let's not complain. Let's do something about it. Here's audio.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You have to do it yourself. I mean, this is crazy. For 3 weeks I've been waiting for this hole to be closed.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Arnold. I've got one over here. And then he said, I'll be back. Sorry. But that's pretty
you've
cool.
got to do it yourself.
That's even better. Got a break. News straight ahead at 7 o'clock.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica, Rome, W295DI Utica, Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
He works at a military base in a secure facility. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The man who's wanted by the U.S. government for leaking classified documents. At least that's what a friend of his, also unnamed, tells the Washington Post.
He is not a Russian operative. He is not a Ukrainian operative.
I'll go as far to say he's not even on the east side of the world.
He also claims the man who shared sensitive American intelligence is not trying to help any foreign agencies, telling the Post the information was shared in an online chat group on a gaming site with friends seeking companionship during the pandemic, united, they say, by a love of God, guns, and military gear. Much of the leaked intel relates to Russia's war in Ukraine. Norway has just expelled 15 Russian diplomats for intelligence gathering in Oslo. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky calls Russia terrorists addressing a World Bank meeting.
What is always the goal of a terrorist? To break life.
Zelensky's also vowing to hold Russia responsible for a video circulating online purportedly showing a Ukrainian soldier being beheaded. North Korea has done it again, launching another missile.
Its neighbors believe it could be the test of a more mobile system that's harder to detect. Japan told citizens on the northern island of Hokkaido to seek shelter as a precaution, suspending train, bus, and subway services.
Fox's Jonathan Savage, a federal appeals court has overruled a Texas judge and will allow the abortion pill mifepristone to be available still, like Attorney General Merrick Garland pushed for.
To protect the civil rights of all Americans.
But there are restrictions in last night's ruling. The drug cannot be delivered by mail and is only allowed in the first 7 weeks of a pregnancy. A second Democratic lawmaker has been reappointed to the Tennessee legislature by council vote in Memphis this time. Justin Pearson and Justin Jones, reappointed in Nashville Monday, were expelled by Republicans last week for leading gun control protests into the state house.
You can't expel justice. You can't expel our voice. And you sure can't expel our fight.
America's listening to Fox News.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FREE. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
We have mostly sunny skies, 55 degrees now at 7:03. WIBX News Time is 7:03. This news update is brought to you by Harley-Davidson of Utica and Power Sports of Utica. Stop in today to check out their large selection located at 4870 Commercial Drive. Utica police have made arrests in connection with Wednesday's homicide in West Utica. Officers responded to a home on Warren Street at about 8:15 and found James Jackson dead. Police were able to receive information from those at the scene about a possible suspect, and they say 47-year-old Ellery Jonathan Little McNeil was spotted walking a short distance from the scene. A brief foot chase ensued. Ultimately, he was taken into custody, and police say he was found to be in possession of a loaded handgun. Ultimately, he has been charged with second-degree murder in connection with Jackson's death. Read more on this story on our website at WIBX950.com. The final class set to graduate in just a few weeks, and the campus of Cazenovia College has officially been put up for sale. The more than 270-acre property is currently listed on the website of A&G Real Estate Partners. It was announced late last year the school would shut down for good because of financial issues. There have been rumors that state police might be interested in buying the campus to use it for a training facility, but that has not yet been confirmed. U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is going to be making a visit in the Capital Region today. He'll be in the area to make a major funding announcement to improve both the reliability and safety of the Castleton-on-Hudson Bridge. The grant funding for the bridge is being made available due to the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law Bridge Investment Program. Buttigieg will be joined by today's announcement by Governor Kathy Hochul and by Congressman Paul Tonko. In the city of Rome, a man who showed up to be arraigned in court then took off and is still being sought by police. It stemmed from a traffic stop earlier this week in Rome. Mandy Gillette and Kyle White were pulled over by Rome police. A subsequent search found a quantity of fentanyl, over 80 grams of methamphetamine, digital scales, packaging materials, and cash. Those drug possession charges filed against them are Class A felonies, which is the highest degree felony available under New York state law. Police say both were sent to county central arraignment and ultimately released, but due to appear back in court yesterday, while they both reappeared, police say Gillette was taken into custody. White fled before he could be arrested and has not yet been caught by police. Anyone with information on his whereabouts is asked to contact Rome PD. Juul is paying $462 million in a multi-state settlement. New York State will get its share of $113 million in that lawsuit. They claim Juul was partially responsible for the rise in vaping among young people. The settlement also requires retailers to keep Juul products behind counters and also ID customers trying to purchase vape products. The company must also stop using people under the age of 35 in marketing campaigns. New York Attorney General Letitia James says much of the settlement will go toward programs that deter underage smoking. Your WIBX Weather Center forecast comes to you from Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint.
I'm Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint in the WIBX Weather Center. More summery warmth today. All day sunshine, breezy, warmer, a high of 81. Tonight clear, mild, very pleasant, a low near 55. And tomorrow mainly sunny, summery warm again, turning slightly more humid late day, a high near 80. For more on your local forecast, tune to Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR. I'm meteorologist Craig Flint on WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM.
Sunny, 55, WIBX News Time 7:07. All right, in sports, both the Mets and Yankees winning their rubber matches yesterday. The Mets took down the San Diego Padres a final of 5-2. Tyler McGill improved his record to 3-0. And Pete Alonso went deep, his fifth home run of the season. The Yankees, meanwhile, took their rubber match against the Cleveland Guardians, a final of 4-3. Oswaldo Cabrera broke a 3-3 tie in the top of the ninth with a two-out double to drive in the game-winning run. NBA playoffs last night, play-in, I should say. Two teams saw their seasons come to an end. The Chicago Bulls down the Raptors 109-105. Zach LaVine exploded for 39 points. Nikola Vujovic posted a double-double with 14 and 13. The Bulls now take on the Miami Heat tonight in South Beach. That'll be tomorrow night for the East's 8th seed. Out west, Oklahoma City's Big Three were able to get it done. They combined for 90 points as they knocked off the Pelicans last night. The Thunder, with their win, stay alive in the play-in bracket. They traveled north to battle the Minnesota Timberwolves for the West's 8th seed on Friday. Jeff Bezos not going to bid on the Washington Commanders. Bezos previously showed interest in purchasing the franchise after hiring the firm Allen & Company to explore a bid. Last month, a source close to Bezos said Commanders owner Dan and Tanya Snyder were blocking him from bidding. Josh Harris, who owns the Philadelphia 76ers and the Devils, has submitted an official offer, reportedly around $6 billion. The Colts are focusing on the NFL draft. Head coach Shane Steichen addressing the media for the first time since the start of his team's offseason. He referred to the draft when he was asked about the pursuit of free agent quarterback Lamar Jackson. Indy has been linked to Jackson, who was franchised by the Baltimore Ravens, but can negotiate with other teams. Speaking of the franchise tag, Saquon Barkley says, "I'm not signing it." The Giants star running back was offered the franchise tender before the start of the offseason. Barkley was designated as their franchise player in March, said to be getting about $10 million. The 26-year-old, though, is reportedly looking for a deal worth about $14 million. If the Giants fail to extend Barkley, he'd make just over $10 million, but could sit out some of the season at least. New York's offseason program officially begins on Monday. All right, the Comets lost last night. They were hosting the Syracuse Crunch.
We're getting down where there are 2 games left.
Yeah, there are 2 games left, and then they need a point. So
and
they lose 6-4 last night.
They have to at least tie, right?
Yeah. If they can get a tie or even an overtime loss or shootout, that's good enough.
They get a point. They need 1 point to get in. So.
And Laval has just 1 game left. That's who's chasing them. And the Comets, of course, play Friday night against Rochester at home, and then
you couldn't. I
Saturday
hate to say,
in
but
Syracuse.
you couldn't ask for 2 more difficult games. 2 rivalries that have played the Comets very tough. Davey, you disagree?
It's not Rochester, Jeff. They play Cleveland on Friday.
Oh.
I said that all day
They
yesterday.
played Syracuse, though, Saturday.
You're right.
Yeah.
The Cleveland
Cleveland
Monsters.
is at home Friday night. All right.
Sorry. I've been saying that all week.
Well, everybody hates Cleveland, so it should be really easy, too.
Right here
I
in
mean,
front
just
of me.
in general.
Not Drew Carey. Cleveland rocks. He's
Yeah,
always
you're right.
singing it.
All right. You're right. Let me break, and we'll come back. 7:10. It's Thursday morning. Tomorrow morning, in studio, Bob DeBono. And Bob is just a phenomenal stand-up comic. He'll be performing this weekend at Fat Cats Comedy Club. He'll be co-hosting in here. I will not be here tomorrow morning. And but Bob will. I think Andrew will be in here as well with Manaski. But DeBono might be the best Trump impersonator in all of the country. He is so good. But beyond it, he's not, think about this. You can love Trump and love DeBono. You can hate Trump and love DeBono. He's just really good.
Yes.
And it's funny.
It's a live caricature of the former president, and
He
it's
is
done
so
very,
good.
very well, yeah.
But beyond that, he's a phenomenal stand-up comic and one of my favorites. And he'll be, as we said, in studio tomorrow morning at Fat Cats Friday night and Saturday night. Go to fatcatscomedyclub.com for tickets. Davey has just done that, right?
Yes.
All right.
I still laugh every time I think about when we had him on the phone and you posed a question from, I think at that time, CNN's Ryan Nobles, and he said, I like to call him Not So Nobles. It was just so funny. Just right off the cuff. So he'll be in studio. I anticipate maybe having some fun with presidential voices because Andrew will be in. He does a great Bush.
He does the Bush.
He's got some
pretty
other
well,
impressions.
Yeah.
So there might be some impromptu live comedy tomorrow.
Love it.
With
Love
former presidents.
Comedians love it when the hosts try to be funnier than they are.
Yeah, but I think Andrew
is funny.
He is good fodder for a comedian. There's a lot of material there.
No doubt about it. You're right. He adds material. All right, coming up, Matt Bennett. What is this? What is this on ungrading in college? I don't understand what this is all about.
Yeah, apparently they're not. Some colleges are banning. You can't have anything to do with drag on campus. Other colleges are saying we're not allowed to give students grades. I think it might hurt their feelings.
Oh, my Lord almighty.
I know. We are racing in two different directions in this country as quickly as we can.
It's like they're you'll be learning a lot about that with T-ball coming up. It's like they're learning everything from T-ball. Everything has to be a tie. Got a break. We'll come right back and talk about that, 7:13 at WIBX.
Don't take chances with your brakes. Find out why Oriskany Garage is a top-rated destination for auto repair in the Utica area. Oriskany Garage delivers friendly professional service, great prices, and a commitment to never, never try to sell you something that you don't need. For brakes, tires, funny noises, warning lights, or any of your auto repair needs, come and experience award-winning service at Oriskany Garage down the street from Utica College or online at ogtire.com. Come on and say it with me and make the noise. ogtire.com.
Book your New Jersey summer vacation. Get ready for sunshine vibes and waves of beach and boardwalk fun. Go for exciting destinations, entertaining nightlife, and endless outdoor adventures. Whether relaxing along 130 miles of Jersey Shore or climbing high in the Skylands. Create your New Jersey summer escape at visitnj.org/book now.
Are you considering buying an electric vehicle or a plug-in hybrid? Wouldn't it be nice to just fuel up at home with an EV charging station? Potentia is helping to make the convenience of charging easier for your home and your business. As a leader in green electrical projects, Potentia has completed hundreds of large sustainable commercial projects across New York State and are now getting into the residential market. No more stops at the gas station. Charge at home conveniently and economically. With New York State's zero emissions mandate by 2035, Potentia can help design, supply, even install residential and commercial EV charging systems at your home or your business. From permitting and design through the complete installation, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3 with a turnkey EV charging solution with various packages and options available. They guarantee your satisfaction with all their products and their workmanship. Visit Potentia at 4685 Middle Settlement Road, New Hartford. Give them a call at 315-765-6184 or view their website at potentiamanagement.com.
I cannot believe we're going to be looking at temperatures in the low 80s today. We were almost there yesterday. Today, tomorrow, and Saturday, and then the mid 70s for Sunday. It's going to happen. People are going to say, I have to turn on my air conditioning. And are you prepared? You may not need air conditioning if you have the right windows, if you have the right insulation in your home, and Collis can help. Fred F. Collis Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. They begin with a free home, and it's free, home energy assessment. We had this process done during COVID, as a matter of fact. They couldn't even come into the house at that time, but they were able to do an energy audit and assessment by digging into the construction of the home, to the history and everything. And they really were able to give us, just by looking at our bills and our history, all of these tips on. It was almost like talking to a psychic. They knew what we were doing and where the money was being wasted. And their tips saved money for us. We didn't go forward with any insulation because it didn't need to be done. However, your house may need that. And in some cases, people are using rebates and incentives through New York State to get the entire process buttoned up. And you can give money off. And there are cases out there where people have had the entire process paid for. And Collis, their experts, can walk you through the entire process. So if you're looking for the most efficient home and you don't want to waste money, think Fred F. Collis & Sons, Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Call them today, Fred F. Collis & Sons, Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Alrighty, yes.
I don't know if you could hear the thumping in the background. It was me smashing my head against the wall with this next story coming up here. It's the ungrading story.
Yeah. So ungrading in colleges to help new students adapt. Some colleges have decided to eliminate grades.
Parents collectively ask, "What am I paying for?"
An antiquated concept of grading students. I just don't get it. On the line is a higher education expert, Matt Bennett, to talk about it. Matt, good morning. Now, I feel that in the world we live in, most people have good intentions. It's just they're a little, sometimes their intentions are a little off. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, it's something we're thinking about. I mean, this concept of ungrading has been around for years, but it's gaining traction here recently for a variety of reasons. And so I think perhaps good intentions are behind it, but we got to, of course, focus most on the outcome.
I've seen on, 60 Minutes or something, where there are these schools that are high-performing high schools where there is no curriculum. Kids are learning in a more organic way, and it seems really, hippie-like. But some say that sort of thing works. Is this the same type of thing?
Well, it works in some ways. I mean, the research does show that students will learn more if they know they're being graded, and that only makes sense because you're conscious of it. But for certain students, especially if they're highly motivated, I mean, people still learn, of course, when they're not grades, not most of the time, but it's not as effective.
Yeah. I have one kid who is my children, who is tough when it comes to, like, she'll go in and fight for if she feels.
Yeah. Didn't she graduate with a GPA of like 104 or something?
No, it was under that, but it was like in the upper 90s.
Oh, okay.
But she fought for every point. And you have kids that become obsessed with grades, and maybe that's not a good thing. I don't know, but it's the way we've done it, and it seems to have worked. But so are we talking about mainstream colleges, or is this in a rare instance?
No, it's just mainstream colleges, too. And some mainstream colleges have been doing some form of this for years. MIT, for instance, has done this. Harvard Law School has pass-fail classes. But for MIT, it's just the first year. And, I mean, there's different ways of applying this kind of ungrading mindset. Some is you get a grade, but it's not on your transcript and nobody sees but you, or you don't get a grade at all. It's just pass, fail, or it's just for the first semester, for the first year. So there's all different ways of going about this.
Yeah.
Listen, I certainly can understand this in certain situations. I don't think everything has to have a number grade or a letter grade on it, and you don't need to be tested constantly. But at some point, there has to come a point where there is an assessment on how you've performed in the course, what your achievements are, and almost basically a percentage assessment of what you've learned from this material.
Yeah. And I think there are always these courses where you might take a course, and depending on what the course is, the teacher may have a different philosophy in grading. There may be curving, depending on how well everybody does. I wonder about that. You talk about how does a student get a percentage grade that is higher than 100. That's pretty interesting, but it's all those extra bonus points they're able to get. So there's always a lot of that out there, but it's never become the mainstream way of doing things. It's almost like the T-ball of the grading system in higher education.
Right. And you can see why some are more tempted to go that way these days. There's been a doubling of mental health issues from 10 years ago, and grading does cause stress for people. So you can understand that motivation. But then, on the other hand, people do have to be prepared for real life, and a life can be stressful. And so at what point do you have to say, hey, this is the real world, and you need to step into it?
We have an intern here who's college age, currently in college. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a senior at Utica University, and if I'm taking a pass-fail class, I know that I just need to do the bare minimum, and I'm going to get the same grade as someone who tries 10 times harder and would get a 100 or an A in the class. I think schools, for necessarily pass-fail, they shouldn't be doing for that. You're going to have kids not trying as hard because of a system like that.
Yeah. And again, I could see it in certain programs, but let me ask you, though. I appreciate your honesty. That's a great admission you just made. But when you are graded and you receive, let's say you get a 97 on a test, doesn't that make you feel good? It doesn't make you feel depressed. 100%. It makes you feel great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get a 30.
Yeah, and I can understand, but it means you got to work harder.
Right. And the other part of this, and I wonder, Matt, is the fact that you go through all of this hard work to graduate with honors, and your scores are high, and you've done so many things, but there are so few careers out there that will ever question how well you performed in college. I mean, they want to see you have a degree, and that degree could mean you just did the bare minimum, and your employer will never, ever know. So you wonder sometimes, why am I doing all this work? I just need to pass.
Yeah, where it applies a lot more is if you go to grad school. They do look at your grades a lot more than employers. And so if that's on the horizon or consideration, then it can cause stress for people because they got to get good grades. And there has been, because of that, and students have demanded it, there's been grade inflation at a lot of schools over the years.
Yeah.
And for the same work, you get a lot more students who get A's than ever before.
Yep, very interesting. Okay, Matt, thanks for the input. We appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. Take care.
Have a great day. I just, we're always trying to make things better, and sometimes in the process of making things better, I'm not sure we always do.
Yeah, and again, this kind of centered around colleges, but I mean, how many decades in a row have we said, we got to increase the high school scores. We got to get the high school scores up. Now we're saying we can't give them a score? I mean,
well, yeah.
And what's the motivation behind increasing the scores? To make us more competitive around the globe and make sure that our students are educated. I almost think the next generation learns.
I do think this is a lot to do with kids are creating stresses. There are those certain kids that will create a great deal of stress when it comes to their grades. As I said, I have 3 kids, one that really cares. The other 2, not so much. They didn't, it's like, yeah, I got a 70. I passed. So that's cool, right? I'm like, well, like father, like son. Yeah. Anyway, I just don't, I don't know. But he's right, though. If you're going off to graduate school, you're going beyond that 4-year education. It does play a role in whether or not you get accepted in high school, and whether or not you get accepted in certain colleges.
You know, and I have to admit, because I don't like this story. Obviously, you can tell from the disgust in my voice, but I will say, in professions where it matters, at least in my opinion, like I've never had a doctor and walked up to him and said, hey, what was your GPA?
Well, right.
Whether what it was as low as it was or as high as it was, you still call him doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's the thing. It goes back to the pass and fail. So apparently he passed. There's nothing on there that is telling you about with what honors or what his scores were. And it's really weird. Never in radio have I even had anyone ask me if I had a degree, let alone what my grades were. And I've been doing this for a long time. Never. Got a break. 7:25 coming up. We'll do Habaika's free money question of the day. Mohawk Valley Crime Stoppers wanted person of the week. You know, when we see this case that happened in Utica yesterday, and police say, yes, you can call and give a tip to UPD, but you can also call Crime Stoppers. And what would be the benefit of calling Crime Stoppers? It's completely anonymous. You never have to share your name. You can give that tip to authorities, and ultimately it could result in a reward for your information.
Also coming up, we'll talk with John Zogby in a few minutes. He's got an interesting take on how, it's a review of information out there, but some thoughts on how Trump is benefiting from this indictment situation, what it means for the future. We'll get into that. There's something John covered in a podcast with his son recently, and I think it's an interesting topic. I think our audience is going to be interested to see what his thoughts are on it.
We'll get it coming up. Stand by. It's 7:27 to WIBX.
Power Sports of Utica is holding its grand opening event on the 28th and 29th of April. We have over 350 vehicles in stock and incoming for you to see. Come celebrate with us at the store over great food, drink, and entertainment. We can't wait to see you there. It's our Power Sports of Utica grand opening, April 28th and 29th, with over 150 new and used Harley-Davidsons in our pool. 0% down, 3.99 APR on select Harleys. Grand opening discounts on boots, helmets, shirts, and apparel.
What is a heat pump? I'm Jen from Standard Heating, Cooling, and Insulating. We get this question all the time. Heat pumps are the most energy-efficient heating equipment available. With the price of oil and propane going up, switching your heating system will save you money. Not to mention all the rebates and tax incentives that are available. Our experienced team at Standard will evaluate your home and design a system that's right for you. Standard Heating, Cooling, and Insulating. Call us today at 315-859-6292. We promise to save you money.
Hi, this is Tom Cole from Gates Cole Insurance with exciting news. We're expanding with a couple of new offices in our area. One new location is Tall Pines Insurance in Boonville. They're another independent insurance agency that takes pride in making customers happy. That fits our culture at Gates Cole perfectly. Here's Greg Lee from the newest Gates Cole location, Tall Pines Insurance in Boonville.
The reason why I got into insurance was I wanted to allow my father the opportunity to retire and give back to my community. You know, we had the Boonville fire that wiped out a large area down here for us a few years ago, and so we showed up at the fire. You know, we were right there, ground zero with our insureds, who made sure that they were taken care of quickly. You know, we were able to get people the money that they needed to cover their expenses from that loss.
For insurance for your home, auto, business, and just about everything else, trust your local independent insurance agency, Gates Cole Insurance, proudly representing Finger Lakes Fire and Casualty Company of Trumansburg, New York.
Don't wait for spring. Declutter and clean now. You Call, We Haul does it all, offering 14-foot trailer rentals to haul away all that junk. They offer 2-day rentals for $200 plus dump fee. 5-day rentals, $325 plus dump fee. They'll even drop off a trailer to you. Fill the trailer up, and once you're done, give them a call, and they'll haul it all away for you with the first ton on them. Call 315-351-6412 or visit YouCallWeHaulNY.com for your free quote today.
So earlier talking about Herkimer Diamonds. In fact, I think that this morning Renee was on the Home Shopping Network this morning. And as I said, we'll be back doing a broadcast later on this afternoon at 4 o'clock. But we were talking about the Herkimer diamonds that are used to filter vodka. And Dan Aykroyd is all about that.
Mm-hmm. Crystal Skull.
But also, I believe the Adirondack vodka is filtered through, which is made right here, is filtered through Herkimer diamonds as well. Pretty cool. But I have to say that, and this is where I make the transition into River Hills Properties and Bill and Robin Monjo, because they are all about the local area. And I find that there are these, you take a look at a place like Herkimer Diamonds where you pay, I've never been there. It's right in your backyard. You've not been there. But there are people traveling across the country and around the world to be able to go there. It's amazing how we take things for granted. and how people who have been elsewhere and then they come back, like the Monjos, are able to look at this and say, wow, I appreciate this area and what it has to offer, right?
Yeah, listen, I'm going to confess right now that, and it's something I will take my son to do, but I have never been to the Herkimer Diamond Mines.
you got to take your kid to
We
do
were up
this.
there and we were checking out the camping location they have, which is really nice. But I've never been digging in.
And they're adding, like, I think 200 campsites or something up on the hill. They've expanded the place incredibly well. And you're right. You got to check it out. You're not thinking about that. And that's what you hear from Bill and Robin Monjo about all the things that the area has to offer. And that people are moving here. You take Wolfspeed, for instance. These are high-paying jobs where families are moving from elsewhere to here, and they're looking for homes. If there was a time where, and maybe this is the year where that time is in play for you, it's time to downsize or maybe upgrade, whatever it is that is in your mind, it may lead to the sale of a home. If you're considering that, Bill and Robin Monjo, great people to meet with and talk about what a real estate agent is able to and should do for you, the seller. And ultimately, it benefits the potential buyer as well. A good example is the book. It's 40 to 100 pages filled with details about the house. Only River Hills does this. It really is the manual for the home. Every time there was an improvement, you put on a deck or took a porch and turned it into a four-season room, the investment that was made, the receipts, the warranty on the roof, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's all in the book, which helps people make a decision on the purchase of the home. And when your house is shown, it will always be putting the best foot forward because your listing agent is there every time the house is shown. That is the River Hills way of selling and buying properties here in the Mohawk Valley and throughout upstate New York. They have offices in Barneville, Little Falls, and Utica. Online, it's riverhillspropertiesllc.com. Call 315-896-1009. Nobody sells homes like River Hills Properties. Quick news next. Mohawk Valley Crime Stoppers Wanted Person of the Week. And our free money question of the day from Hobica. And we'll back that up with John Zogby coming up on WIBX.
We have mostly sunny skies, 56 degrees. WIBX News Time is 7:32. This news update is brought to you by Cliff's Local Market. They keep you going. A federal appeals court is blocking a ruling by a Texas judge that would suspend FDA approval of an abortion drug. A three-judge panel of the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals late Wednesday granted the Justice Department's request to put on hold the part of that ruling that suspends the FDA's original approval of mifepristone. Belfast police are launching an investigation after a document outlining details of President Joe Biden's trip to Northern Ireland was found lying in the street. The police service of Northern Ireland said they were aware of a security breach and that they take the safety of visiting dignitaries extremely seriously. Authorities in Kentucky are confirming a call was made to 911 by the mother of the Louisville mass shooter after he opened fire at a downtown bank. His mother told 911 dispatchers Monday morning that her son had a gun and was headed to the Old National Bank on Main Street. She insisted that he was, quote, a good kid who would never hurt anyone, and added, "We don't even own guns," end quote. The U.S. suicide rate was back at a near record level in 2021, according to a new CDC report. It was the 11th highest cause of death, with 14 suicides per 100,000. For people ages 10 to 34, it was the second leading cause of death. The jump reversed 2 years of declining rates. One of the Tennessee state lawmakers expelled last week will be sworn back in today. Memphis Democrat Justin Pearson will be sworn in before the House goes into its session at 9 a.m. local time. Pearson and Democratic Representative Justin Jones of Nashville were expelled by a House vote last Thursday after they demonstrated for gun control on the House floor. And New York City is hiring a full-time person to tackle the city's rat problem. Kathleen Corradi is the city's new rat czar. That's spelled Corradi, but I thought if all else fails, you can try Corradi.
Yeah,
it might work
yeah.
out. She is the new rat czar in New York City. She will oversee the multiple strategies being used by the city to try and reduce the rat population. Now, here are some of them, and tell me that PETA won't make a calendar to stand up for these rats' rights. Karate says she will bring science to a systems-based approach, which has a strong focus on cutting off food, water, and shelter supplies for rats. I can hear protests.
It's inhumane. How could they do such a thing?
Beginning right now. We'll see how that goes. WIBX News Time 7:35. Here's your forecast from Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint.
I'm Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint in the WIBX Weather Center. More summery warmth today. All day sunshine, breezy, warmer, a high of 81. Tonight clear, mild, very pleasant, a low near 55. And tomorrow mainly sunny, summery warm again, turning slightly more humid late day, a high near 80. For more on your local forecast, tune to Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR. I'm meteorologist Craig Flint on WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM.
Had some occasional gusty winds yesterday. We've been dealing with some stiff breezes, but not looking that way right now. Already sunshine, already 56, and it does look like it's about to be a summer day right today.
It was like 10 o'clock last night. It was 70 degrees. Still almost. It may have been 69, somewhere in that range, but it was warm.
Love it.
You'll get more of that in the next couple of days.
Love it.
Not so much next week, but in the next couple of days. And one thing I'm not sure that we've covered, the Tampa Bay Rays did it again last night.
Now, is it 12 or 13 now?
They are now 12-0. They beat the Red Sox last night 9-7 in Tampa Bay. And they are they're one game away from tying the best ever record in Major League Baseball to start a season. That was done by the Milwaukee Brewers back in 1987 when they went 13-0. The Tampa Bay Rays will wrap up their series with Boston later today, and let's see if they can tie the all-time Major League record.
I have to tell you, at this point in the season, if I'm a Yankees fan, which I'm not, I would be rooting hard for the Tampa Bay Rays because it just makes for a better storyline later in the year. I don't care what happens. Right now, Toronto at 12-0 and the Yankees at 8-4. Excuse me, Tampa at 12-0 and Yankees at 8-4. They're 4 games up. I don't care. Look, listen, after the 4th, after July 4th, and some point late in summer, this will get tight. I don't care if it's 15 games.
Right.
This will be a tight race in the AL East. So if I'm a Yankee fan, I'm rooting for a bigger comeback later in the year. Let Tampa start 28-0.
Here's a good example. If you want to look back, how did Milwaukee end up in 1987?
Did they even make the playoffs?
I'd like you to look that up. I'd like to know.
Okay.
They started out 13-0. How did they end the season? We'll have that answer for you coming right up, along with the Habaika's free money question of the day. Who do we have on the line here, Davey? Is it Crime Stoppers?
Yeah, Detective Riolo from
Detective Riolo from the Rome PD. It is the Mohawk Valley Crime Stoppers wanted person of the week. Detective, good morning.
Good morning.
Who are we looking for this week? And we'll have it all up on our website coming up soon.
All right. The Rome Police Department's wanted person of the week is Kyle A. White, 37-year-old male, white male, 5'6", 200 pounds. White is wanted by the Rome Police Department on a Rome City court bench warrant. The warrant stems from an arrest on April 11th, 2023, where White was arrested for criminal possession of a controlled substance in the second degree, which is an A2 felony. White was processed and transported to the United County Central Arraignment, where he was later released on his own recognizance. On April 12th, 2023, White reported to Rome City Court to answer the charge, but fled the court prior to being taken into custody. White resides in the Sylvan Beach area, but has ties to Rome, Utica, and Boonville.
All right, and that story is up on our website right now at WIBX950.com. He is the most wanted, or the wanted person of the week for Rome PD. And, Detective, important to note that when people leave a tip on Crime Stoppers, very important to note, it's all done anonymously.
Yes, it's all done anonymously. If any listener should be familiar with Mr. White, please contact the Rome Police Department or leave an anonymous tip at Crime Stoppers.
Okay. Detective Riolo with the Rome Police Department, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. And you can see that story up on our website at WIBX950.com. Coming up, we'll speak with John Zogby. An interesting take on all of what's happening right now with former President Trump. Davey, let's do Habaika's free money question of the day. Comes from the Habaika law firm, Joseph and Andrew Habaika. And right now we're looking for?
Let's stretch it and take caller number 10.
Oh, you're going rogue today. You've got the mojo. Caller 10, 315-736-0186. The 10th caller, we have tickets to Fat Cats Comedy Club, the all-in-one food and fun card, and cash from Hobica on the line. Caller 10 right now at WIBX, 315-736-0186.
Hello, I'm Joanne Moskal, Chief Operating Officer for Hospice and Palliative Care. At hospice, we often hear that caregivers think of hospice as giving up, but what they are really doing is giving their loved one the opportunity to make the most of the time they have together. When a patient is appropriate for hospice, they've already been diagnosed with a terminal illness. You are not giving up on your loved one. Instead, you are increasing their care by compassionate nurses to ensure they remain comfortable throughout their disease. We want to know what is most important to you and what a good day looks like to the patient and to you. Together, we will design the care you want on your terms. We often hear, we wish we had called hospice sooner.
Hospice and Palliative Care, servicing Oneida, Herkimer, and Madison County. Middle Settlement Road, New Hartford, 315-735-6484, or visit us at hospicecareinc.org. Hospice and Palliative Care. When you need us most.
It's truck season. Are you in the market for a powerful, reliable truck? Check out the 2023 Chevy Silverado Crew Cab 4x4 All-Star Edition at Steve Ponte Chevrolet. With Silverado's robust engine and four-wheel drive capabilities, this truck is built to conquer anything. Right now, take advantage of some incredible incentives. You'll find new roads and save when you get 0% financing for 36 months. Or take advantage of up to $5,250 in total value savings. Is leasing more your style? Get a 3-year, 30,000-mile lease for $487 a month. See why it's always easy to do business at Steve Ponte Chevrolet in Herkimer. Stock number 23098. Purchase must have 2009 or newer Chevrolet in household. $3,750 total rebate plus $1,500 engine credit. Lease offer must have current lease in household. Mileage penalty of 25 cents per mile over 30,000 miles. Offers must qualify top tier through GM Financial. All taxes and fees due on delivery plus $1,000 in first payment due on lease. Must take delivery by 5/1/2023.
COVID is still spreading. Don't let your guard down. Anyone can get severely ill from COVID. But your risk is greater if you're over 65, if you're obese, have heart or lung disease, diabetes, or another underlying health condition. Lower your risk of serious illness, hospitalization, and death with the most up-to-date COVID vaccines, including the booster. Learn more at ny.gov/booster.
Spring is on the way, and if you're looking to make the most of it in a new RV, camper, boat, or trailer, then look to Mohawk Valley FCU. Right now, you can get up to 120-month financing for as low as 5.74% APR for any new recreation vehicle. That's 120 months of financing for as low as 5.74% APR. Go to MohawkValleyFCU.org for more info and to apply today. Mohawk Valley FCU, member-focused, member-driven.
Spring has sprung. It's the Strong Spas Factory Store Spring Sale all month long. Sangertown Square. Blowout prices on floor models. And factory recertified spas. Clearing out the floor to make room for more. Immediate delivery. It's a spring super sale at Strong Spas. Visit the largest spa showroom in the country. Huge savings. Price to move. See for yourself. Find them in Sangertown Square and ask about their financing options for credit qualified buyers. Get in your spa at Strong Spas. Hurry, these spas won't last.
How far will the left go to win 2024? Will they send out more stimulus checks or give away trillions more to left-wing groups? The simple truth is they don't care if your retirement is eroded down to a fraction of its value. They just want to win. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. I want to encourage you to diversify your 401k or IRA out of paper assets and into a physical gold IRA. And the only company I recommend for gold IRAs is conservative-owned Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word HEDGE to 989898 to get their free info kit on gold IRAs. Do this now before Democrats have a chance to legislate away your life savings. Get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting HEDGE to the number 989898. There's nothing to buy and no obligation at all. So use your agency. Take action now. Text the word HEDGE to the number 989898.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Hey, the official coffee of this radio program is located in the village of New Hartford. Daylight Donuts. And have you tried, it's going to be perfect, an iced coffee today with the temperatures going up to 80 degrees, perfect, or one of their iced lattes, or, Manassas, it can be hot as can be in the middle of the dog days of summer.
Mm-hmm.
And Manassas going up there looking for something cool and grabs a hot black Daylight Donuts coffee.
Yeah, I don't do the iced coffee. I'm sorry. I know people love it, but I certainly would tell you to go grab a cup of hot coffee. And the almond joy, try it. It's very unique. I added no sugar, no cream, but it's got a lot of flavor to it, and it's got a little kick in there. Check it out. They do it in a latte, and you can also get it in a coffee.
The pistachio latte is also something to try,
I gotta
along
try that
with
one
a
next.
total of 14 flavors. At Daylight Donuts in New Hartford, the drive-thru is very, 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 very fast. Wayne is on this morning to take a shot at winning our free money question of the day. The Hobeika Law Firm provides the dough. Joseph and Andrew Hobeika at 315-724-1600. Wayne, good morning.
Hey, can I assume that the phone lines are working?
The phone lines are working. Can you imagine? I mean, even people who it's not just us. The people who listen to this are like, are the phone lines working? Just checking.
Hey, does it ever affect the people that live around you, or all the businesses around you? Do they lose their services too?
No, I think it's just us. I do. No, you laugh. I think it is just
Wayne,
us.
stop asking questions.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the story off the air.
All right, here we go. Are you ready?
Yes.
I think you might pull this off. Let's see. Dan and Frank Carney started this legendary food chain in Wichita, Kansas in 1958. What's the legendary food chain? Ready, go.
Hot dogs? I don't know.
Well, the chain. You got to come up with the name of the chain.
You tell me.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to. Making it great. Pizza Hut.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
1958.
really?
They started with
At a
one.
carnival?
6 months later, they had two, and within a year, they had 6 stores, and the thing took off. Here's another question for you. Ready? Here's a good one.
Yeah.
Name the former NFL football coach who got his start while going to college in Wichita, working at the original Pizza Hut. And I will tell you that he did coach in New York. Name the head football coach. Ready? Go.
I think his name.
Bill Parcells?
It was Bill Parcells.
It was.
Yeah,
Oh, I was going
yeah.
to say Belichick. Oh,
It was Parcells. He worked in. Belichick did work in New York.
he was an assistant under Parcells.
okay.
He wasn't the head coach.
I didn't
He
realize
did
that.
take the Jets head coaching job for like 4 minutes, and then immediately quit and took the Pats job when that became available.
Anyway, that dates back to Pizza Hut. Dates back to 1958. It's all been redone now, right? It's all different versions of Pizza Hut today. The Wingstop but the original Red Roof had beer. You'd go there, and many of them had a bar.
That's right. Yeah,
You'd
I
go in
remember
and get a pitcher of beer.
Yes,
and a deep dish pizza at Pizza Hut.
Now, I was a kid at the time, but I remember, it would be a bunch of us, like, after a baseball game or something, and we'd all meet there and, do, like, a pizza party after the game. But, a couple of the fathers, you'd see them,
Pitcher of
with
beer.
a pitcher of beer.
Wayne, we're going to give you the all-in-one food and fun card, which is available if you'd like it. And Davey has one. He's showing off right now in the booth. Beautiful, right, Davey? $25. Good at Aquavino, Babes, 72 Tavern and Grill, the Tailor and the Cook, or any of the concession stands over the Adirondack Bank Center or Nexus. And a table for 6 this weekend to see the amazing, legendary comedian Bob DeBono, who has got the best Trump impression in the country today. I'm telling you, it's so good.
They tell him all the time.
And he'll be in studio tomorrow morning and at Fat Cats Comedy Club this weekend. Go to fatcatscomedyclub.com. We're giving you a table for 6, Wayne. So stand by. Davey's going to take care of you, all right?
Thank you, guys.
All right, Wayne, thank you. And next up, let's keep moving. This story is interesting. And John Zogby, with his son and I believe sons, does a podcast on a regular basis, and they talk about issues that are going on that sometimes are affiliated with the polling that they do. This is something, though, you wonder, you're hearing a lot about how much is the indictment of former President Trump helping him versus hurting him, or is it not moving the meter at all?
And I would almost say, and maybe John's got some insight in this, but I wonder if it's positioned as helping him but hurting the party.
That's
in the
a very
long
good
run.
part. Yep, a good thing to think about here. And John Zogby on the line right now. John, good morning.
Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Good. I'm assuming you can find your podcast wherever podcasts are found.
Yeah, on
right.
YouTube and then also JohnZogbyStrategies.com, and you click on podcast. Yep.
So what do you think? Trump will say, and those who are allies and campaign people that are around him are saying this has been good for President Trump. In fact, he's raised a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But is it ultimately good overall? What do you think?
Well, it is good for him in terms of the GOP nomination. I mean, he's, at this point in time, running away with it. Anything can happen, but the indictment has certainly helped him shore up his base. And, to just carry that a little bit further, in the matchups either with DeSantis alone or about 10 Republicans, Trump is consistently now polling over 50% just within the GOP. But what's happened just the past week is that Trump has gone from a slight lead, 3 or 4 points over Biden in a head-to-head matchup, to now Biden leading by about 1 or 2. And so in the final analysis, it has hurt among independent voters and put Biden in better shape.
Meanwhile, John, if I'm not mistaken, Ron DeSantis thought to be the number 2, the closest challenger to Trump. The gap between the two of them is now at like 30 points, right? Trump is starting to run away in that regard.
It is. What you've seen over the last 2 months is in a couple of New Hampshire polls, DeSantis going from a slight lead, and now to a significant double-digit deficit against Trump. In national polls, you're right, it's Trump at least a 30-point lead over DeSantis. What's happened there has been a confluence of things, though. One is that the legal troubles have helped Trump solidify the base, and of course it was DeSantis who was cutting in to that base. But at the same time, we've seen on his own Ron DeSantis actually flagging a bit.
Yeah, he's made a couple of missteps, by all means.
A couple of serious missteps, both, all of which kind of revealing maybe a non-readiness for the big time, but also a kind of a strange personality for someone who has to really campaign, on such a personal level in places like Iowa and New Hampshire. Just not likable is the thing that you hear.
I also wonder that, the culture war issues that he has completely embraced and tackled.
Yeah.
While that may work with the older Republican, it does not necessarily work with younger Republicans.
It does not at all work with younger Republicans. Particularly younger people have helped redefine gender issues. Going back to my early polls among Gen Z and discovering, we're talking 10 years ago, 40% of Gen Z buy gender-neutral clothing. This is a long time ago. It's probably much higher than that. But on issues of gender, of family, relationships, and so on, he is DeSantis is appealing mainly to an older America and not to the growing numbers of younger millennials and Gen Z.
The other part of this, John, is advertising works, and a lot of this may not be necessarily officially campaign advertising, but you get a lot of earned media and news coverage and that sort of thing. And, when DeSantis was just Ron DeSantis, and he was, just the governor of Florida, and he was an ally of President Trump. He wasn't put under the microscope. But now, after 4 or 5, 6 months, it's funny how a photo completely changes. There's almost a this is what happens when you enter that limelight. You're in the scopes. You're in the crosshairs of your opponents.
And it has to have an impact.
Yeah.
Even with folks saying I don't watch cable news, I don't listen to national talk radio. I was very careful there. I don't. The media doesn't have an impact on me. Of course it does. It sets the agenda, and it's the buzz.
Yeah.
And he is. But it was a disastrous trip to Iowa that he made right at the same time that Trump was in his ascendancy. DeSantis went into Iowa, ignored local party officials, refused to meet with voters. The proverbial surprise walk-in at the Des Moines Diner or whatever, refused to do any of that.
Yeah. Very interesting. And again, it's still very early. Mike says, regarding the indictment, perhaps indictments of Trump, while Trump may get a bump in the polls, and get Republicans to rally around him if he becomes the nominee, none of this will really move undecided voters to swing his way. What are your thoughts?
I think that's very, very true. Undecided independent voters are going to hear a barrage of negatives, and they're about Trump, and they're at this point not ready to make a choice. Remember now that in spite of the fact that there are a lot of people that don't want to hear this, Joe Biden is actually rising in the polls. Just this week alone, his approval rating is up to 48%. One poll showing him at 49. That's enough to win, especially if the Republicans are going to be split or are going to nominate an indicted candidate.
Yeah. Do you? Last question, and just with your gut, and we're getting closer. Do you really think Biden is going to run?
The sequel to Weekend at Biden's.
I've always felt that he's gonna the last minute he's gonna say I'm just not gonna run. But where would he leave Democrats at this point as we're getting closer and closer to next year is the campaign.
Yeah.
There are good folks out there, but it would start a free-for-all, and the party doesn't need it. On behalf of Biden, he's got a record to run on, number one. Number two, he's defeated Donald Trump twice, 2020, and as well, in the showing Democrats made in 2022. Whenever I think that it makes all the sense in the world for him to run, then I say to myself, why is he not announcing? Is he waiting for public opinion to turn? As we are talking right now, public opinion has begun its turn, and now, as you saw, there's better news on inflation. It's not reined in, but it's down to 5% annualized. Remember, it was close to 10% annualized inflation rate. And so I think he's holding out. I think ultimately, though, he's going to run.
You can hear his podcast on YouTube and watch it on YouTube as well with his son, John Zogby. We appreciate it. And enjoy this weather. Have a great weekend.
Thanks. You too, Bill. Take care.
And, of course, that podcast also up at johnzogbystrategies.com. Just a quick thought there. I don't disagree with John's point at the end about inflation coming down and how it's kind of helping lift Biden's numbers. But there are some warning signs out there that gas prices are going up, maybe back to $100 a barrel. And we've talked about this before. When that goes up, the price per gallon goes up, and everything available on a store shelf comes via gasoline truck. So if, it's something to watch, but just how that inflation number is kind of shrinking again, it can quickly turn around depending on what happens with this world situation with oil.
And I got to tell you, we are like a timber box right now in the world. It's a very, very tricky time as we're watching the everything from China to Russia and Iran and North Korea and all of these things that it's pretty Uneasy, at the very least. That's an understatement. Uneasy time. Got a break, though, and much to get to next hour, including John Decker from Gray TV. WIBX Utica Rome. It's 8 o'clock.
An abortion pill will still be available, but with restrictions. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A federal appeals court last night overruled a Texas judge who ordered a mifepristone be unavailable, blocking the FDA's approval of the drug back in 2000. But as for the restrictions,
the drug can only be dispensed up to 7 weeks of pregnancy, not 10, and it can't be delivered by mail. The fate of the drug could still go to the U.S. Supreme Court. Meanwhile, several Democratic-controlled states are stockpiling the drug, like California, where they've ordered 2 million doses of it.
Fox's Jill Nato. The U.S. government continues to search for whoever's leaking classified materials full of sensitive American intelligence. The Washington Post has found one of his friends who claims
he is not interested in helping any foreign agencies with their attack on the U.S. or other countries.
The unnamed friend tells the Post the man works at a military base and shared the documents in a chat group on a gaming site, all sharing a bond, a love of guns, God, and military gear. In Louisville, Kentucky,
Amazing Grace.
A vigil last night for the victims of Monday's bank shooting. After police released 911 calls, one from the mothers of the shooter who just was told he was bringing a rifle to work.
Oh, my Lord. I don't know what to do. I need your help. I think he's never hurt anyone. He's a really good kid.
Her son was killed by police after murdering 5 people and wounding 8. Former President Trump's back in New York a week after being criminally charged, but he's involved in a different case today, facing questions after the state attorney general sued Trump and his company, alleging business fraud. Some areas in and around Fort Lauderdale, Florida, remain underwater,
as some folks are waking up to roads that are still flooded.
Fox Weather's Brandy Campbell standing near cars driving through water near the airport, still closed.
In a 24-hour time frame, just over 25 inches of rain was recorded near the airport, and they're asking residents to be patient and allow it to drain naturally.
America's listening to Fox News.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FREE. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Sunshine, 56 degrees. Good morning, I'm Jeff Manaski. WIBX News Time is 8:03. This news update brought to you by John's Mobile Home Parts and Accessories in Oriskany Falls. For all of your mobile home needs, it's worth the trip. Visit johnsmobilehomeparts.com for more information. Utica police making an arrest in connection with Wednesday's homicide in West Utica. Officers responded to a home on Warren Street and found 49-year-old James Jackson suffering from a gunshot wound. He was pronounced dead shortly after. Police were able to receive information about the possible suspect's identity. They say 47-year-old Ellery Jonathan Little McNeil was seen walking a short time later. After a brief foot chase, he was taken into custody by police, now faces charges, including second-degree murder. We'll be joined by the Utica Police Department's Public Information Officer coming up in just a few minutes for the latest on this investigation. The final class is set to graduate in just a few weeks at Cazenovia College, and the campus is now officially up for sale. The more than 270-acre property is currently listed on the website of A&G Real Estate. It was announced late last year the school would be shutting down for good because of financial problems. There have been rumors that state police might be interested in buying the campus to use it for a new training facility, but nothing yet on that has been confirmed. U.S. Transportation Secretary, that is, Pete Buttigieg, is going to be making a visit to the Capital Region today. He'll be in the area making a major funding announcement that would improve both the reliability and safety of the Castleton-on-Hudson Bridge. The grant funding for the bridge is being made available through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law Bridge Investment Program. Buttigieg will be joined at today's announcement by Governor Kathy Hochul and Congressman Paul Tonko. In the city of Rome, and we talked about this just 20 minutes ago, the wanted person of the week, a man who was set to be arraigned on serious drug possession charges in Rome City Court yesterday, showed up for his appearance, but then took off and has yet to be located by police. It stemmed from a traffic stop earlier this week, which Mandy Gillette and Kyle White were charged with felony-level criminal possession charges. Police say a search of their vehicle found more than 80 grams of methamphetamine, glassine envelopes containing fentanyl, packaging materials, scales, and some cash. Those drug possession charges are a Class A felony, which is the highest degree felony available under state law. Both were ultimately released on their own recognizance due to reappear in court yesterday. Police say Gillette was taken into custody, and while White showed up to the courtroom before he could be arrested, he left the building. Police have yet to find him. If you have any information on his whereabouts, you're encouraged to contact Mohawk Valley Crime Stoppers. Already sunny skies and 57 degrees, and it will continue to warm up from here. Full details on the forecast from Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint.
I'm Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint in the WIBX Weather Center. More summery warmth today, all day sunshine, breezy, warmer, a high of 81. Tonight clear, mild, very pleasant, a low near 55. And tomorrow mainly sunny, summery warm again, turning slightly more humid late day, a high near 80. For more on your local forecast, tune to Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR. I'm meteorologist Craig Flint on WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM.
Well, the Mets take the rubber match against the San Diego Padres, the final yesterday, 5-2. Tyler McGill, 3-0 to start the season. And Pete Alonso went deep again, his 5th of the season. Also, Francisco Lindor with a 2-run shot. The Mets now 7-6. They visit Oakland for a 3-game set that begins tomorrow night. Kodai Senga is slated to get the start for the Mets. We're doing an early season West Coast trip. You know how much I hate those.
Yeah, I hate them as well, but at least it's falling on the weekend. And although we're playing West Coast next week, too.
Yeah, San Francisco, and maybe there's another.
These games are so late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now that they're 2.5-hour games, maybe
You're right.
Won't be so bad.
Could be over by midnight.
The Yankees took their rubber match with the Guardians 4-3, a come-from-behind win. Oswaldo Cabrera broke a 3-3 tie in the top of the ninth with 2 outs. His double drove in the game-winning run. Wandy Peralta credited with the victory. Yankees now 8-4. They open a 4-game series against the Minnesota Twins tonight, back in the Bronx. NBA play-in action last night. The Chicago Bulls rallied to beat the Raptors 109-105. Now the Bulls stay alive in the play-in tournament. They have a chance to advance as the 8th seed. They'll take on the Miami Heat on Friday night. In the other game last night, Oklahoma City upended the New Orleans Pelicans. The Thunder now travel north to take on the Timberwolves. They'll play Friday night for the West's 8th seed in the playoff chase. Jeff Bezos not going to bid on the Washington Commanders. He previously showed interest in purchasing the franchise after he hired a firm to explore that bid. Last month, though, a source close to Bezos said Commander's current owner, Dan and Tanya Snyder, were blocking him from bidding. Joe Harris, who owns the Philadelphia 76ers and New Jersey Devils, has submitted an official offer said to be around $6 billion. And Saquon Barkley does not want the franchise tag. He wants a long-term deal. The Giants star running back does not plan to sign the franchise tender that he was offered before the offseason program. Barkley was designated as the franchise player in March, but negotiations for an extension remained at a stalemate. General Manager Joe Shane has stated he prefers a long-term deal. Barkley, who's now 26, is reportedly looking for a deal worth about $14 million a season. The franchise tender would get him $10 million a season. And I don't know that they should sign like a 6-year deal or a 4-year deal, but give him more than a year and give him more than $14 million when you're paying Danny Jones $40 for crying out loud.
And the Tampa Bay Rays winning again.
Yes, 12-0 now.
Yeah. 13-0 is the record. They could do that today when playing Boston.
We heard from our Yankees fan. One of them that we know, because everyone's a Yankee fan. Nagel says, all I root for is for a comet to hit Houston by September. That's where his mind is at.
Not a Utica comet.
No.
an actual comment.
Yeah, and all we're rooting for is the Utica Comets to get at least 1 point between now and Saturday.
2 games left. All they need is a tie or a shootout loss, and
then interesting too for the weekend if you're doing any planning for that right now. Tonight, the Utica City FC plays at is it Milwaukee?
Milwaukee, yeah.
And hopefully they win that game. But either way, they're coming home to play on Sunday. If it worked out that, let's say they lost today, they won on Sunday, that would mean 1-1. That would mean they come up and do a 5-minute short game. So they would play, and the winner of that would move on in the playoffs. That's pretty interesting how they do that.
It is. And I find it interesting because the Comets were in the play-in game, essentially under this format. To some extent, the Comets are the home team in the series, right? Because they both play one game, but if there is that little extra game,
yes,
it's played in Utica, which I find interesting because Utica was in a play-in game. So I believe Milwaukee is actually the higher seed. But if it works out, it can work out where actually, quote, 2 games, it'll be 1 day, but 2 games will be played in Utica, and that seems the opposite of having the home field advantage.
That's that whole quick game that they do. Davey.
I just wanted to say Milwaukee is the number 1 seed.
Yeah. And that's the point, though, that they would end up playing the deciding game
in Utica.
You would think, and I wonder if they get the choice. Well, we'll take the first game and play the next 2 in Utica. I don't know, but very.
I'm still learning the major arena soccer league rules.
Pretty interesting.
You asked the question. Speaking of Milwaukee, 13-0 the Milwaukee Brewers in 1987. They went on to finish the season 91-71, so they were 20 games above 500. They finished 3rd in the AL East, and they did not make the World Series. The 1987 World Series was the Twins defeating the St. Louis Cardinals.
It just goes to show you that no matter the start, it's a long season.
How
keep that in mind.
Yes.
The Falcon Clinic in Washington Mills is accepting new patients right now. I am one of those new patients. The Falcon Clinic is the area's premier osteopathic medical clinic, and they're accepting new patients right now. If you're in need of a new family doctor, or you're having issues with sleep, fatigue, pain, ADHD, or any other health issues that you've been unable to cure, Dr. Shemileski, Dr. Zielinski, and other physicians that are on the premises right under the same roof at the Falcon Clinic are also taking on new patients. Someone in your family considering medical marijuana might be an option for pain without the addictive side effects of opioids. Call today or visit them online at falconclinic.com. Have you been tested for hepatitis C? It is definitely prevalent in baby boomers, and it is 100% curable. You could be dealing with all sorts of different ailments with hepatitis C, and that could include fatigue, aches and pains. Dr. Shemileski is Hep C certified. Call today at 315-507-4751 or visit them online, falconclinic.com. The Falcon Clinic is located in Washington Mills.
Hi, I'm Jill Hayes.
And I'm Scott Hayes from New York Sash, and I have 2 words for you, old and stubborn.
Excuse me? What are you trying to say, Scott?
No, not you, honey. I'm talking about windows. Old, stubborn windows. They're hard to open and close.
Oh, right. And they're really hard to clean.
If you're tired of fighting with your windows, visit our showroom and see the full line of New York Sash windows all on display.
Give them a try. You'll be amazed at how easy they are to open and close, and they're super low maintenance.
Plus, our triple pane windows are energy efficient, so they'll help keep your heating and cooling costs down, and they'll make your home look incredible.
There's no need to invite a pushy salesperson into your home. Instead, stop by the New York Sash Idea and Design Center, where you can browse at your convenience.
Then, whenever you're ready, we'll come out and replace your old, stubborn windows.
We're open Monday through Saturday on Oriskany Boulevard in Whitesboro. And as always, let our family take care of your family.
Power Sports of Utica is holding its grand opening event on the 28th and 29th of April. We have over 350 vehicles in stock and incoming for you to see. Come celebrate with us at the store over great food, drink, and entertainment. We can't wait to see you there. It's our Power Sports of Utica grand opening, April 28th and 29th, with over 150 new and used Harley-Davidsons in our pool. 0% down, 3.99 APR on select Harleys. Grand opening discounts on boots, helmets, shirts, and apparel.
Are you considering buying an electric vehicle or a plug-in hybrid? Wouldn't it be nice to just fuel up at home with an EV charging station? Potentia is helping to make the convenience of charging easier for your home and your business. As a leader in green electrical projects, Potentia has completed hundreds of large sustainable commercial projects across New York State and are now getting into the residential market. No more stops at the gas station. Charge at home conveniently and economically. With New York State's zero emissions mandate by 2035, Potentia can help design, supply, even install residential and commercial EV charging systems at your home or your business. From permitting and design through the complete installation, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3 with a turnkey EV charging solution with various packages and options available. They guarantee your satisfaction with all their products and their workmanship. Visit Potentia at 4685 Middle Settlement Road, New Hartford. Give them a call at 315-765-6184 or view their website at potentiamanagement.com.
We invest in Herkimer and Oneida counties. We work with the community to make things better for old and young alike. Today, tomorrow, and in the years to come. Every day, we put the community's long-term savings to work. Who are we? We are the Community Foundation of Herkimer and Oneida counties.
FoundationHOC.org.
We're your community foundation.
Working to build a vibrant region
with opportunity for all.
It's hard to know what to do when you lose a loved one. You want to provide a lasting tribute, but you need someone you can trust to help you navigate all the options. Mohawk Valley Monuments has been providing comfort and delivering quality memorials in our community for the last 85 years.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Morgan.
And I'm Nicole Cornacchia Morgan.
Owners of Mohawk Valley Monuments. We pride ourselves in continuing to deliver the highest standards of workmanship and customer service. We strive to make things easier for you while still showing your family the utmost of respect.
Start a conversation about your wishes to help make it even easier on your loved ones. Call us today and we'll get prepared together.
Mohawk Valley Monuments has experience with all the local cemeteries. From simple grave markings to intricate family mausoleums, they give everyone the same personalized service. For expert memorial design, call today, 315-724-7629, or go to mvmonuments.com. Mohawk Valley Monuments, LLC, Old Route 5S, just past the Kitless Restaurant in Frankfort.
Aches and pains aren't trophies. They're just barriers keeping pros like you from getting the work done. You know this business can be backbreaking. All the more reason to partner with someone who has your back, like Clinton Tractor and Ferris Commercial Mowers. Ferris is about helping you finish strong and feel good doing it, with patented suspension technology that allows you to mow faster and get more work done in comfort so you can feel good tomorrow. Visit Clinton Tractor today or at clintontractor.net. Ferris, work hard, feel good.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, in studio right now is the Public Information Officer, Mike Curley, with Utica PD. Michael, good morning.
Good morning.
I've got you up there now. Good morning. Boy, you all had a very busy day yesterday.
Yeah, it started pretty early, about 7:30, with a stabbing on the 1500 block of Genesee Street. Unfortunately, proceeded into homicide from there, and kind of just proceeded. But we want to thank the Utica Fire Department and all our partners for all the assistance they always provide us in those major cases.
This was was this retribution? I mean, what do you know about this case right now?
Yeah, it seems pretty isolated to that particular address,
Yeah.
813 Warren Street. It was some kind of argument that transpired in the early morning, continued until about 8:15 when we received the call, and unfortunately, an individual was deceased from a gunshot wound inside that residence.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, afterward, shortly after, the suspect was arrested with I want to say, a significant quantity of methamphetamine. Ultimately, he was also charged with, in addition to second-degree murder, criminal possession of a controlled substance with intent to sell. Can you talk a little bit about that as well? And do you think that had anything to do with what transpired yesterday morning?
Yeah, so that particular location is a known location to us. Once inside, we noticed that there were probably 10-plus people kind of just milling about, having a long evening, let's say, for lack of a better word. We were able to quickly develop suspect information from those people. While en route back to the station for just kind of further investigative work, one of our major crimes investigators located that individual walking on Court Street near Broadway, matching the same description. He radioed 2 radio cars to conduct a stop. That person then fled. They chased him to right in front of 258 Genesee Street, where he was taken into custody. And upon searching him, they located a loaded 9mm handgun and, like you said, a quantity of different narcotics to include methamphetamine.
So is this a person that that you have been aware of? Came from Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, not to get into his criminal history too much, just for trial's sake. We have prior no contact at all. We know that he has a pretty significant history in Philadelphia, to include similar things such as what he was accused of yesterday, and subsequently arrested for murder, second, some other charges.
How bad is the problem of houses in certain parts of the city where they're, I don't know, call them party houses or whatever, but dealing with some pretty serious drugs that people unfortunately become very addicted to?
Yeah, it certainly is a problem, and COVID and the laws that change for landlord tenants really exacerbated the situation, which is very, very difficult to get problem tenants out now. And to include when we had a nuisance abatement program where we would take the house to the city, that has been suspended with COVID as well. So you kind of just do your best to help the neighbors and public nuisance type stuff, and we're really kind of backs at a wall with circumstances such
I know
as
this is more political than anything else, but I do think that some have used COVID in a way to really make policy
excuses
to make policy that really is policy of excuses. I think it's first of all it's a mistake, considering that this really hasn't been something that's been passed by the legislature. These are COVID things that stuck around. If you're one of those landlords that has been dealing, remember what it was like where they didn't even have to pay their rent at that point. While it's nice to think about, hey, these big conglomerate, big fat cats from New York City that come in and buy up these properties, they can afford it. I'm not saying that I even agree with that, but a lot of these are just people that have one or two or three houses, and it's a part of their retirement. They've been just put in very difficult positions. And then when you have someone you can't get out, chances are the property that you have is being destroyed.
Yeah, I think when the good thought of helping the few now is harming the mass population and causing public strife, I think it's time to rethink those things.
All right.
You mentioned it was a busy day yesterday. There was also a stabbing incident?
Yep. So about 7:30, they were dispatched to the 1500 block of Genesee Street regarding a domestic incident in which the two parties obviously were known to each other. One party had a order of protection against another. The situation kind of went bad. One displayed and then stabbed another individual with a box cutter, resulting in a pretty serious laceration to their arm.
And this was completely unrelated to the other case we talked
just
about.
Another incident.
Just another busy day for Utica Police.
That's
you guys are responding all over for a variety of crimes and incidents. Something that caught my attention that I wanted to ask you about, I can't believe I didn't know this. I saw a sign on I keep wanting to say arterial. I saw a sign on the Parkway yesterday that said something to the effect of radar speed detection in force, something like that. Are people being issued tickets via a drone or something in Utica?
No, nothing like that. So in the last couple of years, we've placed several stationary speed signs on the Parkway. Those are obviously radar detected. So while they do not capture your individual vehicle identification, they capture each and every single car that comes by with their speed. So we have a good idea of what the speed is going on the Parkway, which can future enhance any need to potentially have speed enforcement details or things of that nature. But it's just kind of a good idea to allow people to know that, hey, the Parkway's kind of a long stretch of road. The speed limit is still 30 miles an hour. It'll flash if you're going too fast. It'll show your true speed. So just kind of use caution, especially with the good weather. There's going to be a lot of people walking dogs, playing. So please be careful of your fellow citizens out there.
I just want you to know that everybody on the arterial seems to be well behaved. There's no need for any of that on the arterial, especially around 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, never.
There's no need for it. I mean, I've been keeping an eye on things for you. Everything's good over there.
Also, everything's great between 9 and 9:30 when Bill's
That's
on his
right.
way home.
I'm, at that point,
Go grab a coffee at that time.
I'm leaving at that time. Yes. So, all right, and talk about, if you could, the face of the Utica Police Department, how it has changed over the course of the last 5 years.
Yeah, so
a lot of new faces.
Nobody's going to beat Steve Houck as the face of the police department, right? He was the Utica Police Department, then Brian did a great job, and I'm lucky enough to take over.
Yeah.
And we've really, in totality, not to be in jest, we've really made a strong concerted effort to diversify our police department. We've added a lot of Hispanic officers. We added our first Karen officer this year. We're really proud about that. So, lots of minority black officers. So it's just a matter of being able to take the test, and we're certainly working with civil service to encourage the changing of civil service rules, because obviously at this point now you can only hire the top 3 at any particular time. You know, in promotional exams, you can only hire
Yeah.
those individuals that pass that particular test or psychological test. So there's things in work statewide. Obviously, you don't want to, for lack of a better word, diminish or dumb down your standards too much, you know,
Right,
and then you're
right,
taking on people
right.
that have no business
Yeah.
being in any profession, much less policing. So, you know, it's a balancing act, and we're certainly asking anyone who wishes to become a Utica police officer to take our test. Every September we hold one. We're going to be starting a new academy in this May, so the announcements will be out pretty soon with respect to
And
the
it
test.
is a good idea to make sure that your police department represents the makeup of your community, right? I mean, and I think Utica has Rome, our communities around here, the sheriff's department. I think we've done a really good job when it comes to relating with the community.
Yeah.
Long before all these stories became big stories around the country.
Absolutely. It's been a concerted effort. Obviously, there's a crisis in hiring everywhere, no
Yep.
less in law enforcement and fire and things of that nature. So anybody wishes to come out to test, please.
There's been a significant emphasis over the past couple of years on, I'll say, evolving police technology, police tactics, and approaches to certain situations. Can you kind of talk about what you've seen over the past few years? I believe there was a state mandate, and I know Utica Police maybe, I don't want to say altered or adjusted, I'll let you describe it, but evolved some policies in the way you handle things?
Yeah, there's a big push for something called procedural justice in policing now. Procedural justice is a feeling of fairness and openness and transparency in everything you do. People may not exactly accept or agree with the outcome, but at least they feel that they have a voice in the procedure. You explain why you're stopping them, perhaps. You explain the process going forward. Give them a say in some kind of defense in their case, and we'll go forward. You know, if you had broken the law, unfortunately, there's consequences in court to deal with that. But at least you didn't feel that you were just overrun by a system without your having the ability to do anything.
Yeah.
There's been a big difference with respect to litigious nature of everything. You know, with hostage situations where 10, 15 years ago you kind of just went in the door and dragged somebody out. Now the thought process is you have nothing but time. You kind of just wait them out. If it's just a mentally ill individual, maybe you just leave them there because they're only a danger to themselves. While it may sound crass, it's if they're not a danger to the greater society, maybe they don't harm themselves and not push. You know, so you could talk about a lot of different changes, but it's really kind of to the betterment of everybody when you break it down into individual levels.
It is extremely complex when you think of someone who has a mental illness, and we've seen cases around the country where people were ultimately shot and killed because police feared that they were a danger to them, when in reality they just couldn't follow instructions. They couldn't. I think there was a case around somewhere where the person was actually deaf.
Yes.
It's very difficult for you to be, and I know it's easy for us on the outside to say, well, come on, how could you act this way? This person has a mental illness. But oftentimes you go into a scenario, a police officer is walking in, has no clue. And you have to think that person, you want to walk out with your life at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we want everybody to walk in our life. We
Yeah.
partner with the United County Dispatch to have what's called an Ascend program that anybody who has mental health issues can, unfortunately, it's a voluntary sign up that if you have mental health issues, that's known upon dispatch. We have our no crisis intervention team that we partner with MCAT that we send to those situations. We are really trying to put many of our officers into crisis negotiation scenarios and training so that they're aware how to deal with persons in crisis. Unfortunately, we're seeing a whole lot more of it these days, and it's a lot more prevalent.
So you actually just had a situation, I want to say in the last week, at Kennedy Plaza where MCAT was brought in, and it sounds like it was a similar situation, maybe a mental health issue, and you guys chose to kind of stay back. It went on for 6 hours. Can you share any information about that?
I can, and that's kind of circle back to this whole COVID landlord-tenant stuff. That individual, while having mental health issues, is also very dangerous and criminal in nature, and he has no business being in a building with hundreds of tenants. Something bad is going to happen, and we're really trying to work very hardly with the establishment at Kennedy Plaza, the city, codes departments.
And that
mental
person
health.
is still there.
He is still legal. He is in jail currently on bail situations. However, he is currently still a tenant in that building and has every right to go back once he's out of jail. So it's a major issue. We're working very, very diligently to try to find a solution.
Okay. And then I have somebody asking a question. This is Mike. I'm seeing on my Ring camera alerts folks complaining about off-road vehicles on the roads again. Does the UPD have a policy that if they get one of these vehicles, they impound it and ultimately sell it? How do you handle that?
We do. 2 years ago, the city council passed a memorandum or some addition to the city code in which there are significant fines up to $3,000 as well as the impoundment of that particular vehicle. We had a detail last night, as a matter of fact, where we had undercover officers as well as our crime prevention unit out there trying to address off-road vehicles.
Yeah.
We just simply ask, there's a lot of them out there. They are a danger. There's a lot of land around here. Go somewhere where you're legally allowed to ride it.
Right,
You know,
right.
don't ride in the city streets. It's a danger to you. Every year, unfortunately, we have several fatal accidents involving people on dirt bikes and four-wheelers, and if we can avoid that at all possible.
Via the WIBX 950 mobile app, Doug from Utica says, I want to give a shout-out to the Utica Police as I consider them to be the gold standard in dealing with our mental health community. I work in the mental health field and always use them as an example of how police should be working.
Well, I think all credit there has to go to the chief and deputy chief and the mayor with the training they provide us, with the understanding that is a major concern in the city of Utica, and they really take a concerted effort to ensure that each and everybody is treated with respect and it's done the right way and they get the help they need.
I'm not looking to drag you into any political discussion, but I will ask this question. Please ask his opinion on Genesee Street and how many tickets have been issued since, he says, quote, this debacle started, and I think what he means is the relining of part of Genesee Street.
I've heard an increase in accidents over there.
Give
us the complete answer.
Yeah, all right. So I will say that initially the Utica Police Department was not consulted in any capacity in which Safe Streets was done.
Okay.
We have provided significant amount of data to those who are making the decision. We will let them digest that data and figure out exactly what is best for downtown Utica. If they need our help with respect to safety and things of that nature, I'm sure they will reach out. But at this point, we'll kind of let the politicians
Can you
figure out
say
what
with the data what that...
Have you seen an
Did it
increase in
lean?
accidents?
Would it lean people in a certain direction?
So there was a pretty serious bicycle accident just a couple days ago that
Okay.
happened right at Blandine and Genesee Street. I don't know that it's a result of anything in a bike lane or anything of that nature. I think you can translate statistics are what you want them to make.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The area of Oriskany Street to Court Street, even up to the square, is a very, very busy section with a lot of pedestrian and foot and bicycle traffic on a daily basis. I think you could take those numbers from any block and figure out, was there more accidents this year versus the next year? And a block different, it might be different data.
Yeah.
So, in the totality of what you're looking at, I think you need to know what you're looking for and let individuals translate that data as they see fit.
Okay. Are there more accidents?
In certain areas. I mean,
certain areas.
okay.
Okay.
I guess we'll
But
leave it at
again,
that.
it'll be interesting to see more of a long-term study. If there's a long-term study, it would probably tell you more. And then the new traffic pattern over by Genesee Street, going down past Nexus up where the hospital is going to be. There's a bit of a learning curve over there for a lot of people, but it seems to be going well, and it seems to be handling. I was driving through there last night when the Comets game was just getting out. It does seem to be handling the traffic quite well over there.
It does, and
except for the corner of Oriskany and Genesee where things do get backed up.
It does, and that is without Columbia Street being open, which will be open in the next several weeks. And then you're going to have another thoroughfare to kind of traverse that, east to west. So hopefully it'll alleviate some congestion that's seen in those areas.
All right.
And then just one more thing. I noticed, and you guys do this each year, but there have been a couple of them back-to-back. Utica Police have participated in, and I would have to imagine this helps with community outreach because people love sports. But you guys have been involved in some competitions, athletic competitions at the Adirondack Bank Center. Do you play, and do you want to highlight that at all?
No, I don't skate, and I don't play basketball, and I'm not very good at soccer. So I have not played, but I do attend. It's great for the community. The game that we had against the Proctor Seniors a couple weeks ago was packed. The entire gym was packed, standing room. They had to bring out new chairs. So it was really nice to see the community come out. And it was kind of different from us just playing against another city entity. It was us getting out there in the community and make, those are the next future leaders for Utica right there, the graduates of Proctor. So it was really nice to meet them, kind of build some relationships.
Who won that game?
So there goes the Utica Police Department did it.
Okay. All right, very
Oh,
nice.
you did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So Utica Police Department, by the way, won that game. You guys were in the shootout. I think ultimately you lost to State Police in an indoor soccer type 5-team tournament they had with law enforcement around here. And then Utica Fire is going to be upset with me, but it was like Utica Police versus Fire. It was like a 12-2 win for UPD.
And they stopped playing after the first period, too. It could have been a lot worse.
All right, throwing a little salt around the wound here this morning. Lieutenant Mike Curley, thank you. We don't get you in often, so when we get you here, we pepper you with questions.
It's been about 4 years. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys.
4 years, and some of that had everything to do with COVID.
Yeah.
Yep. Got a break. Coming up before we get out of here, we'll speak with John Decker from Gray TV, get the latest on what he's following He is a member of the White House press corps. 8:34 at WIBX.
Honey, why are you peeking out the window and spying on the neighbors?
I can't stop watching what they're doing to their house. Look at that. They added a sunroom and put in a pool. Do you think they won the lottery?
No, not the lottery. Julie and Jeff got a home equity loan from Adirondack Bank. They're using the equity from their home to renovate.
Really?
Yes, Adirondack Bank has home equity rates as low as 3.99% annual percentage rate. You can access the equity in your home to fund almost anything.
Huh. Maybe we should call Adirondack Bank. What about a new kitchen? Wouldn't that be awesome? Well, then, of course, we would need new furniture, and we could repair the roof. Oh, and even take that trip to Italy that we've always talked about. And, of course, I need a new car.
Slow down, honey. Let's go talk to the experts at Adirondack Bank.
Stop into your local Adirondack Bank for more information on home equity loan rates as low as 3.99% APR. Or call 877-404-2265 for credit costs and terms. Apply today at AdirondackBank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Spring is on the way, and if you're looking to make the most of it in a new RV, camper, boat, or trailer, then look to Mohawk Valley FCU. Right now, you can get up to 120-month financing for as low as 5.74% APR for any new recreation vehicle. That's 120 months of financing for as low as 5.74% APR. Go to MohawkValleyFCU.org for more info and to apply today. Mohawk Valley FCU, member focused, member driven.
Are you considering buying an electric vehicle or a plug-in hybrid? Wouldn't it be nice to just fuel up at home with an EV charging station? Potentia is helping to make the convenience of charging easier for your home and your business. As a leader in green electrical projects, Potentia has completed hundreds of large sustainable commercial projects across New York State and are now getting into the residential market. No more stops at the gas station. Charge at home conveniently and economically. With New York State's zero emissions mandate by 2035, Potentia can help design, supply, even install residential and commercial EV charging systems at your home or your business. From permitting and design through the complete installation, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3 with a turnkey EV charging solution with various packages and options available. They guarantee your satisfaction with all their products and their workmanship. Visit Potentia at 4685 Middle Settlement Road, New Hartford. Give them a call at 315-765-6184 or view their website at potentiamanagement.com.
Power Sports of Utica is holding its grand opening event on the 28th and 29th of April. We have over 350 vehicles in stock and incoming for you to see. Come celebrate with us at the store over great food, drink, and entertainment. We can't wait to see you there.
It's our Power Sports of Utica grand opening, April 28th and 29th, with over 150 new and used Harley-Davidsons in our pool. 0% down, 3.99 APR on select Harleys. Grand opening discounts on boots, helmets, shirts, and apparel.
Dear road rivals, let's talk about extra. Toyota offers tons of extra with Toyota Care, our no-cost maintenance plan good for 2 years or 25,000 miles. No-cost oil changes, no-cost tire rotations, no-cost fluid level adjustments, and more. That's a whole lot of extra at no cost from Toyota. Nissan and Ford charge extra for maintenance. And that's the kind of extra nobody needs. Try harder. Toyota.
Based on manufacturer's data as of 3/21/2022, covers normal factory scheduled service for 2 years or 25,000 miles, whichever occurs first. See participating dealer for coverage details.
Hey, let's talk about the Omni Surgery Center and, more specifically, the pain you might be dealing with and how you don't have to live with the pain. You can start by going to their website, killpain.com, and you might have seen their commercials on television. The Omni Surgery Center with Dr. Hyder. I have a personal experience there with my dad who's had injections there to relieve excruciating back pain. And sometimes pain can be so bad you can't sleep, you lose your appetite, you lose your mobility. It is a serious problem. Imagine having the worst pain you've ever felt and being in a situation where you can't get it to go away. Daytime, nighttime, all the time. There is help. The Omni Surgery Center, whether it's a low-invasive surgery, state-of-the-art procedures, including injections. People travel from all over the country to here to have their procedure done. There's nothing like it. And in our case in particular, it was nothing short of a miracle. Omni Surgery Center, Dr. Hyder, located in the Utica Business Park, and their surgery center is on French Road. It's the building with the very cool lighting that changes colors from time to time. The website is killpain.com. Call 765-8448. The treatment we've received over there has been phenomenal, where modern technology meets cutting-edge surgery. Dr. Hyder and the Omni Surgery Center at the Business Park and on French Road.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
And earlier this morning, we were talking about Ricky Z, and I have that one of the things they do at Steve Pani Mazda is if you're getting a vehicle worked on, a service done, that you get a loaner. That's a big deal, right?
Yeah, and you got a nice one.
A CX-5, but then they're brand new vehicles. I drive the CX-9 Mazda. This is the CX-5, and I discovered something completely unique that I didn't know even existed out there. But and Davey, you had a chance to try it out as well.
Yes, I did, Bill.
There's a I guess we'd call it a speedometer, but it's a digital reading of your speed that shows up on the windshield, and it almost did you see it?
I did not. No.
Oh, you gotta see it. It's almost, Davey, would you say, like a holograph?
Yep.
And I would say it's very similar to what maybe if you ever used a teleprompter. The words come on the glass.
Yeah.
But you don't see the words on the camera and on TV. Pretty cool. And just one of the features in the new Mazdas. State of the art.
Yeah. So just like you,
I became very excited.
I am also excited and distracted by shiny things. So
yes.
I think we're ready to move on to the next thing.
And it is shiny. Pretty
shiny.
It reflects very, very well. All right. On the line right now, I have Doug Plout, and Doug was actually in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which was on Netflix, something my wife always watched. He's in a new feature film called The Sixth Reel, and has a very interesting and complex life that we all want to understand. And maybe he helps us understand ourselves even more. Doug is on the line right now. Good morning.
Yeah, hi. Good morning. How are you?
Are you saying that you kind of chuckled there? Are you saying basically, no, I can't help you people? There's no help for you.
I'm not entirely sure how much I can help anybody, but I'll do my best.
All right.
What do you want to know?
Fair enough. Well, let's start with the Sixth Reel.
Sure. So this is a project that's very close to my heart. My mentor, Charles Bush, who's a sort of fantastic actor, writer, gender illusionist, wrote this story about it's a caper comedy, like it's a Mad World or Rat Race, and it's about a group of people who love classic film, and they all find the lost reel of an old Lon Chaney movie from 1925 called London After Midnight, and they all fight over it because it's worth millions of dollars. And so it's a caper comedy about that, and it stars Charles and Tim Daly and Margaret Cho and Julie Halston and myself, and that will be out in June.
It's coming out in June. It's not out quite yet, but that's really good.
Not
And
quite
what
yet,
and
yeah.
what role do you play in it, Doug?
I play, Charles plays Jimmy, and I play his best friend, Rodney. And so just sort of a version of myself, which is what I often end up playing. So it's a lot of fun. It's very sweet, and I think it's gentle in a way that, a lot of movies are not gentle anymore. It reminds me a lot of comedies of the 60s.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Well, when he said he plays himself, I mean, is it a bad thing to be typecast as you? You always get the part, right?
No, I mean, yeah. Well, there you go. This was actually written for me, so it was nice. It was nice.
So, and what does that mean? Kind of, you always kind of play this role. What do you mean by that? For those who aren't familiar with the shows.
I particularly find that there are a lot of actors, especially now, who are sort of so trained. I mean, I went to college for acting, but who are so skilled at sort of shape-shifting and molding themselves into different characters and all that. And I often find that maybe it's just because I'm so physically distinct, or I just have a distinct personality that I guess I have a hard time muting. I often end up playing roles that are just sort of, versions of me.
Well, and
Yeah.
let's talk about the version of you because I think it's very interesting. I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to be honest. I'm probably extremely ignorant, like so many others, of understanding the way of the world today. Like my children, my daughter's in college currently. It's second nature for her. It's how she's grown up. But the pronouns, the how all the different things that younger people are going through today that we didn't go through. However, there were people going through it. We just didn't know about it, or it was kept quiet. That's the interesting part of all of this. But you created a comedy called Mother, May I Have a Kidney? And it's really all about you and the difficulties that you grew up with. Am I portraying that properly?
Well, mostly yes.
Okay.
So I think that actually we're going to start shooting in June.
Okay.
And that's actually, it's loosely based on my relationship with my mother. I like to say that the circumstances are not autobiographical, but the relationships between the characters are.
Yeah.
That's how I put it, if that makes any sense. So the way the characters relate to each other is very much true to my life. But the things that happen in the show are not autobiographical to me. And it's very exciting. I think we're going to do it as a short form, 6 episodes, 12 minutes each. I co-created it with a fantastic writer named Veronica Reyes. And we are Paul Schnee, who's actually a casting director. He cast the Pitch Perfect movies and Winter's Bone, among many, many others, is going to actually step behind the camera and direct it. So that'll be a lot of fun, I think. Yeah.
What were the struggles that you may have gone through with your mom?
Well, I think it's so funny. I was listening to Michelle Obama's podcast a couple months ago, and she had said something that she had said, kids never quite understand when an adult is sort of being difficult with them because they don't have the foresight to say, well, what happened to you?
Right.
And I think as an adult, you do learn to understand that. And certainly through writing this, I didn't write it, but co-creating this with Veronica, I gained another perspective on what my mother went through. My mother just had a very, very difficult childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she had a kid who was sort of flamboyant and very strange and wasn't her idea of what she wanted her kid to be. Now, on its face, you still say you love your kid anyway, but I think her life and her upbringing had just been so difficult that she just needed one thing to be easy. And I think that's sort of where she was coming from with that.
And I think this happens to parents a lot. You have a vision of what you want. Sometimes that starts with a woman's wedding. I have the vision of what the wedding is going to be like. And then
$65,000 later.
You've spent all this money, and the song didn't play when it was supposed to play. This didn't happen. And, you put you create this world that doesn't really exist. And then when it happens, you're trying to figure out how to embrace it and figure it all out, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's sort of something that society is coming to now. I think it probably still is very common to have like gender reveal parties for babies. And I think now with the way the world is going, it's sort of more about giving more agency to kids as young as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Have the mental stamina to have their own agency, and I think that's important. But I think it is also so important to give grace to people who are, because I really do believe that not everyone, but I would say 70% of people on the planet really do want to make the effort to learn and to grow and to make things better. So it's a fascinating time.
Yeah.
I don't know the actual number, but I agree. I hope it's higher than 70%. But essentially what he's saying there is that most people, they just want to help out and get along. They don't have a problem with you, right?
It is, and I also
it's a
think
minority of people who gets the spotlight.
There are many parents and grandparents who may be listening to this right now who can identify with the child or grandchild that they have didn't work out exactly the way they had it figured out, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
kids, they ultimately
100%.
they grow up to be who they are and what they are and all of that, and that sometimes can be very very. I think we've gotten better. I know there was a time in life where you just didn't reveal to your parents or grandparents because you would be almost excommunicated. But
From the family,
yeah. But I think things have changed. The other thing I want to touch on just quickly before you go, and this is something that's not ever talked about, maybe until recently. And I know you're. By the way, this is Doug Plout. The Sixth Reel is the film that you'll look for coming out later in the springtime. And you're a diversity activist and an advocate for mental health as well. But something that isn't talked about with men and boys is you suffered from an eating disorder and body dysmorphia. Talk about that if you could, because it is a thing and it is not gender exclusive.
No, it's not. And I actually think it's much more prevalent than I think, any of the official numbers, that you would probably read on, I don't know, a website would tell you.
Yeah.
I think what it ultimately comes down to is also just, and this is fairly classic. There are many offshoots of it, but it is an issue of control. I think when it really in my early 20s, when it really became an issue, there was so much out of my control that was sort of spinning, and, there were great things happening and terrible things happening, like I guess happens to everyone in their early 20s. And I think it just felt like that handling that and micromanaging what was going into my body felt like a way to have control over something.
Right.
And I think ultimately, it's a strange thing because you when you have a problem with alcohol or when you have a problem with drugs, you quit those things and you don't use them. That's the idea of whatever. You have to have every human on this planet has to, do a dance with food.
Right. Food. Yeah.
And
the other part is there's always a mirror somewhere.
Right.
And when you look at that mirror,
that is true.
Right? You're judging. You're probably your worst judge. The worst judge out there is how you see yourself.
I think so. Well, because I think ultimately, and it's one of the things that I am always reminding myself every second of every day, is that ultimately, even if you were to embarrass yourself in the worst way, no one really cares.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I think that's one of the most freeing things I think that you can realize as a human is that ultimately your failures and even your successes don't mean as much to anyone else as they do to you.
Yeah.
So you can sort of take the pressure off yourself of having to really worry what people are thinking about you.
The movie is The Sixth Reel, comes out later this spring. Doug Plout, thanks for taking the time, and thanks for speaking about the issues that you've dealt with, because you know that there's somebody out there is benefiting from what you're saying.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to talk to you guys today.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you, man.
Have a great day.
Have a good one.
Doug Plout, and again, it's The Sixth Reel, and it'll be out later on in the springtime.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think you're both right. One, we are our own harshest critics, and it was interesting that he was learning about a lot of people, in my opinion, lack the ability to look at things from someone else's perspective.
True.
And it sounds like maybe that had his mother's perception of what she thought he would grow up to be and what he was.
Right.
Maybe was hurtful to him.
Yep.
But he took the time to try to look at it from her perspective, and it doesn't mean he agrees.
Yeah, that's
but it
very
brings
interesting.
understanding.
Yeah.
It brings some more understanding.
On the line right now, John is everything in his own perspective. John Decker, he thinks that everyone follows the president around every day because that's the world he lives in. We really don't.
It's just John Decker and the president's handlers who are following him all the time.
From Great TV, the chief White House correspondent, John Decker. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Bill. Thanks for having me on today. Appreciate it.
All right, so let's get right into some of the stuff. I love to hear your take on Tim Scott announcing that, he did everything but announce he's running. He's certainly formed an exploratory committee. What do you think?
Well, he's right now in most public opinion polls in the single digits, so he's got a lot of room to grow. Yesterday, he was in Iowa introducing himself to voters there who may not be that familiar with him. He, of course, is the second South Carolinian to get into the race. Nikki Haley, of course, the other one. And the connection between Nikki Haley and Tim Scott is that Nikki Haley, when she was governor of South Carolina, actually appointed Tim Scott to the position of U.S. Senator, so they have that connection. I'm going to be very interested to see how he runs his race. Is he critical in any way of Donald Trump? And if he's not, that tells me he's probably running to be the vice president, to be on Donald Trump's ticket in 2024.
Yeah, that's I didn't even think about that, but that's a very good point. Yeah. A lot of criticism right now over, I don't know if you've noticed, but Biden's numbers are up a little bit. And I get involved in political campaigns, and every once in a while you come across a candidate where you say, if we could just get him to move away for 6 months, I think we could win this thing. And it's kind of like what I think is happening with Biden. They're keeping him away from the media, and I think they're feeling that the heat they're going to get for doing that is better than the heat they're going to get from the misstatements that he makes. What do you think?
Well, Joe Biden has called himself, so these are his description. It's his words. He's called himself a gaffe machine. And, you might be right in terms of that calculation coming from the White House, because there has not been a formal White House press conference in quite some time. By formal, I mean in the East Room at the White House, pre-announced. That last happened just a day after the midterm election results, in which Democrats held on to the Senate. But that's the last time we've seen a solo Joe Biden press conference. That's a long time when you consider that his predecessors, Donald Trump and Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, they had those formal press conferences. And in fact, some of those presidents that I just mentioned relished them. They loved mixing it up with the press and testing their mettle in terms of being on their feet and answering tough questions from the press corps.
But John, President Biden takes shouted questions all the time. He takes shouted questions all the time. Wasn't that the answer yesterday from the press secretary? She literally said he takes shouted questions all the time.
Yeah, that was in response to my question on Monday in the White House press briefing. That doesn't suffice. And when he does respond, there are one sentence long answers. They're not what we expect from our president. This is a president who's dealing with some tough adversaries. President Xi, President Putin. I mean, the press corps is nothing when you consider those adversaries. And, I think that he should submit himself to answering the tough questions that we have about domestic issues, foreign policy issues. There's a lot to discuss.
Yeah. Oftentimes, the responses from President Biden are not comments, they're quips. He'll throw out a little quip or call it what you want, I guess. And then Tucker Carlson and former President Trump in an interview, behind the scenes, Carlson has been very, very critical of Trump. We've learned that. But the interview went on. What was your take on the correspondence between the two?
Yeah, isn't that funny? You say one thing about an individual privately, and then you're up there doing an interview with Donald Trump, and being nice, playing nice, asking the softball questions of the former president. So to me, the big takeaway of this interview was when Tucker Carlson asked, "What happens, Mr. President, if you're convicted in any of these matters that you are now facing, including that criminal case that you're now facing in New York?" And Donald Trump's answer is, "Doesn't affect me. I'm still running for president. I'm not dropping out of the race. I'm full steam ahead in terms of my quest to win back the White House." That was an interesting response, and it's not something that we haven't heard from Donald Trump before, but we haven't heard that from him since he was arraigned in New York just last week.
Going to be very, very interesting. And if convicted of a felony, that would preclude him from running. Is that correct?
That is not correct. There
That
is
is not.
nothing in the Constitution that prevents any individual from running for president, even if convicted for a felony. And here's a little bit of a history lesson for you. Early 1900s, Eugene Debs, the socialist, ran for president from behind bars, from prison. He ran for the White House. So it's happened before in our country's history. We'll see what happens, as it relates to that criminal matter in New York City.
It amazes me the number of national news programs
misreporting
that they're currently reporting if he is convicted of a felony, he will not be allowed to run for president.
He's not allowed to vote for himself, I think.
It is
But he
over,
can run.
right. It is reported over and over again, John.
Well, that's unfortunate. They need someone like me on their staff.
They do.
That's the case. A lawyer who knows the Constitution. But that's incorrect if they're saying that or they're reporting that. Donald Trump can certainly pursue the presidency. It'll be complicated, of course, but he could certainly do so, even if in that criminal matter that he's facing, brought by Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, even if he's convicted in that case, as he indicated, he's still going to pursue the Republican nomination, and should he win that, pursuing the White House.
And then quickly,
could he vote for himself? I don't want to be wrong about that. Can he still vote? If you have a felony, can you still vote?
I think it really depends upon the state that you live
That's
in.
interesting,
There are certain states that allow convicted felons to, exercise their right to vote, and there are other states in which it's much more difficult. I think Florida is one of those states in which it's much more difficult.
Talking to John Decker, this is from one of our listeners. He can't run if he's convicted of obstructing. Is that true?
Can't run if he's convicted of obstructing. I don't know what that listener is referring to.
Yeah.
There's certain requirements in terms of
I think
running
it's
for president in the Constitution.
Yep.
And there's nothing in the Constitution that would be a barrier or would bar an individual from running for president, even if they are convicted of a crime.
Yeah, obstruction of justice would not. I don't believe that would preclude him either.
No, that's right.
Interesting.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it is interesting. Interesting times we live in.
No doubt about it. The fact that we're even talking about it. But it's always great to have you, John. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Have a great day. Great rest of your weekend. The weekend, we'll talk next week for sure.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you. John Decker from Gray TV. WIBX Utica, Rome.
Are you ready to make the most important decision for your child's future? Some are easy, some are not. Some make all the difference, like choosing Notre Dame schools. Offering grades pre-K through 12, your child will be ready to learn and thrive in a challenging atmosphere surrounded by great teachers and the most current technology. Notre Dame offers small class sizes, high academic standards, and spiritual fulfillment. At Notre Dame, we foster an environment of diversity and community. Students feel supported and more confident in achieving their goals. Our students learn from each other and are challenged to grow and develop their innate talents. Notre Dame is faith-based, but everyone is welcome. If you have higher expectations for your child, Notre Dame offers a higher level experience. If you're ready to launch your child's future into the most successful career path and build the next generation of leaders, call today for a tour or visit NotreDameUtica.org. Notre Dame schools ready to learn, destined to lead.
COVID is still spreading. Don't let your guard down. Anyone can get severely ill from COVID. But your risk is greater if you're over 65, if you're obese, have heart or lung disease,